This little girl, Daisy, was incredibly shy. She and Michael's younger cousin, who was about the same age and lived with the Thompsons, were polar opposites. Daisy always kept her distance from Michael. Even though he'd been living with the Huang family for over a year, Daisy still hid behind her mother whenever she saw him, then peeked out curiously, her bright black eyes fixed on him. She rarely spoke, and when she did, it was in soft, babyish sounds, food, hungry, sleepy, single words squeezed out like toothpaste from a tube. Unlike other children her age, she hardly ever cried or fussed. Most of the time, she sat quietly, observing her surroundings with those inquisitive black eyes. Michael had even considered taking her to church to have her checked for autism. Daisy gently nudged Michael awake. As soon as his eyes opened, she scurried off the bed and hid behind Elizabeth, who was standing nearby. Elizabeth opened the curtains and the window to let in some fresh air. Then, she turned to Michael and said impatiently, "What time is it? Get up. We need to eat breakfast, drop Daisy off at preschool, and then go to school." It was the first day of the school year, and Michael was scheduled to give a speech as the freshman representative. It was still quite early, only 6 in the morning, but Elizabeth had to drop Daisy off at preschool before heading to her own school, leaving any later risked getting stuck in rush hour traffic. In Boston, traffic jams were a daily occurrence. Michael got up and dressed. After a quick breakfast, Elizabeth drove Michael to school. "Do you remember your speech?" she asked anxiously, rolling down the car window. Michael gave her an okay sign and strode confidently onto campus. Arriving far too early, Michael decided to take a nap in a library. He slept so soundly that he woke up just as the freshman orientation ceremony was beginning. Oh no! Glancing at his phone, he saw it was 8:20 a.m. He also noticed several messages from Elizabeth and his advisor. Wiping the drool from his mouth, he rushed toward the field. When he finally arrived, breathless, the ceremony hadn't started yet, but the advisors were already taking attendance. In college, advisors served a similar role to high school homeroom teachers. A man in his 30s was calling out names from a roster. "Michael Thompson? Is Michael Thompson here?" "Present. Sir, I'm here." Michael hurried to join his class. The man was his advisor, Mr. Gibson. It was an easy name to remember, so Michael had committed it to memory yesterday, during registration. Mr. Gibson chuckled. "Try be on time next time." "All right, get back in line." Back in his class line, Michael was surrounded by unfamiliar, youthful faces. These were the people he would be spending the next 4 years with. In his previous life, he hadn't attended the Rhode Island School of Design. Instead, he'd gone to a university in the Northeast, where he'd had great roommates. But now, with a mind far older than 20, he felt a little out of place among these bright-eyed, bushy-tailed freshmen. He tried to strike up conversations, but everyone was still strangers, instinctively forming small groups based on dorm assignments. This made Michael, who lived off campus, feel even more isolated. "Man, why are there so few girls in our department?" A guy in front of Michael complained. The Chinese painting department at the Hudson River School had 2 classes, but the male-to-female ratio in both was roughly the same. Michael's class had 25 boys and 24 girls, almost 1-to-1. The overall ratio at RISD was about 3-to-7, with the highest concentration of women in the School of Design, particularly the fashion design department. The guy who complained had a few friends with him, probably his roommates. One of them, wearing glasses, sighed, "And the quality is questionable. The girls in other departments seem so much cuter." Michael found this amusing. It was as if the girls would automatically be interested in them, just because they were interested in the girls. But there are some really pretty upperclassmen in our department, like that senior who helped with orientation yesterday. I know, Jessica Sullivan, a junior, and the vice president of our department. I wonder if Jessica Sullivan has a boyfriend. The guy with glasses mumbled. One of his friends scoffed, "Get real, Four Eyes." As if Jessica Sullivan would ever go for you. "Anything's possible," Four Eyes retorted, his face turning red. "I'm the freshman representative." Michael had been half listening, but when he heard Four Eyes claim to be the freshman representative, he froze. How was that possible? Could there be 2 representatives? Confused, he stepped forward to ask, "Excuse me, what's your name?" The group was surprised that Michael was talking to them, but they were all classmates, so they were polite enough. "Gregory Wilson," Four Eyes said. "Just call me Four Eyes." "Are you a stand-up comedian?" Michael asked. "Why does everyone who knows my name ask me that?" Gregory complained. "I have nothing to do with stand-up comedy. I'm a writer, not a talker." Michael smacked his lips and nodded. "You got a real gift of gab, though. Ever thought about a career in comedy?" "Haha." The others burst out laughing, and Michael instantly felt like he was part of the group. Gregory's face turned crimson. "What's your name?" he asked angrily. "Michael Thompson." "Michael Thompson. What a boring name. He'd wanted to retaliate with a comment about Michael's name, but Michael Thompson was so ordinary it was difficult to even come up with a nickname. While Gregory was racking his brain, Michael asked curiously, "You're the freshman representative?" Gregory puffed up with pride. "Uh-huh. Did the school notify you?" Michael was genuinely curious. One of Gregory's roommates laughed. "Four Eyes is making it up. The teachers never told him anything." Exposed by his roommate, Gregory glared at him and jumped up and down. "I was the first freshman to arrive. So obviously, I'm the freshman representative. It's common sense." Just as he finished his sentence, their advisor, Mr. Gibson, walked towards them, his attendance sheet tucked under his arm. Spotting Michael, he said, "Michael Thompson, what are you doing here? You're supposed to give your speech after the principal finishes talking. You're the freshman representative." "R.A. Mr. Gibson's words stopped the guys chatting with Michael Thompson mid-sentence. Gregory Wilson, in particular, looked stunned and disbelieving. He'd just been bragging to his roommates, and now this? No wonder Mr. Gibson had come over to ask. Michael was the freshman representative. "I'll go right now, sir," Michael said. "Hurry up and find the broadcasting club students over there," Mr. Gibson instructed before heading off. It was scorching hot September day, the sun beating down mercilessly. Students below were dripping with sweat, grumbling about when the ceremony would end. Up on the stage, the mild-mannered president droned on. His just a few words had stretched to almost half an hour. Finally, after the president finished, the deans of each college took turns speaking, highlighting the strengths of their programs and painting rosy pictures of future career prospects, whether deserved or not. Michael, luckily, wasn't baking in the sun with the other students. He was sitting in the broadcasting room behind the stage, chatting with the attractive upperclasswoman. "I didn't realize Jessica Sullivan was the head of the broadcasting club," he remarked. Jessica, who had helped Michael with registration, laughed. "I'm the vice president of our student council. The broadcasting club is a school student union position." Another girl with a bun chimed in. "The capable ones do more. Jessica is a real star in our college." Both girls were in the same college as Michael, so they were friendlier. Jessica playfully swatted her friend and then said to Michael, "I had no idea you were the freshman representative." "That's impressive." "I'd rather not be," Michael said, spreading his hands. "Too high profile. Doesn't fit my low-key style. But, what can I say? Talent speaks for itself." Jessica giggled, covering her mouth. "So modest. All right, you should head out. You're up after the deans finish." "Okay, see you later," Michael said, getting up and walking toward the door. After he left, the sophomore girl whispered to Jessica, "He's cute." And the freshman representative. "How do you know him, Jess?" Jessica, organizing her notes, casually replied, "I helped him with registration yesterday." "So, you met his parents?" "No, he came alone." "Oh man, I should have volunteered yesterday. I could have met tons of cute freshmen." The girl with the bun slumped dramatically onto the table. Jessica chuckled, shaking her head. She looked up toward the door and saw Michael walking onto the stage. His voice, amplified by the microphone, filled the entire field. Respected leaders, teachers, and fellow students. Sunlight streamed down on him, highlighting his profile. He looked completely at ease, a confident smile playing on his lips. Jessica watched, chin in hand, thinking he's definitely a quality freshman. Finally, the opening ceremony ended. The crowd dispersed, freshmen following their respective RAs toward the academic buildings for their first class meetings. Michael, descending the stage, was surrounded by his classmates. Gregory Wilson and his roommates were among them. "Dude, that was awesome. You kept that hidden. What was your SAT score? How'd you become the freshman representative?" Everyone bombarded Michael with questions. A few bold girls even came over to chat him up. Being the freshman representative definitely had its perks. Gregory Wilson grumbled. There must be some inside deal. He was just teasing. Michael later learned that Gregory had good scores, but not as high as his, not to mention Michael's numerous awards. They reached the classroom assigned to their class. While most classes would be held in different locations, this room was theirs for class meetings and evening study sessions. Michael found a seat. Mr. Gibson arrived from the office with some papers, coughed, and said, "All right, everyone, put your phones away. There's a lot to cover today." The first week of college was orientation week, and Mr. Gibson went over the details and some school rules, like the freshman residency requirement and dorm curfews. College seemed much more relaxed than high school, and the recent high school graduates found the rules reasonable enough. Of course, by their sophomore and junior years, things would be different. Who hadn't pulled an all-nighter at a gaming lounge? After covering the important points, Mr. Gibson smiled. "Since you're all new here, let's do some introductions to get to know each other. He scanned the room, his gaze landing on Michael. Mr. Freshman Representative, why don't you start? Michael pointed at himself, and with Mr. Gibson's nod, walked to the front. Hi everyone, I'm Michael Thompson from Green Valley, Lisher, Jiang Province. I like drawing and sculpting. He paused and smiled. I know my name is pretty common, so please don't keep calling me Freshman Representative. I'm a low-key kind of guy. If you can't remember my name, just call me Handsome. A chorus of groans and laughter erupted. Michael quickly added, where the great artist works too, although that's more for the future. Once Michael Thompson livened things up a bit, the atmosphere in the class became much more relaxed. Students began going to the front one by one to introduce themselves, though most were pretty shy, simply stating their name and hometown before quickly stepping down. Michael Thompson rejoined Gregory Wilson and his group. Tyler Johnson, a fair-skinned guy, leaned in and said quietly, "Guys, 4 o'clock." Several heads swiveled in unison to see a beautiful girl with fair skin and dimples laughing with her friends. Tyler Johnson declared, "I've just done a thorough assessment, and Sarah is definitely the prettiest girl in our class. I rest my case. Any objections? Get real, dude. Amy is way hotter. Didn't you see those?" Gregory Wilson made a pig-like snorting sound, practically drooling. He was right. Amy was undeniably gorgeous, the sultry type with a killer figure. The group got animated, debating who the prettiest girl in class was. What else would a bunch of hormone-fueled freshmen talk about so excitedly besides video games and girls? Michael Thompson joined in, teasing Tyler Johnson and Gregory Wilson. Didn't you two say the girls in our year were a letdown? And yet here you are, acting like you haven't seen a girl before. Tyler Johnson, easily embarrassed, coughed a few times. Gregory Wilson rolled his eyes and retorted defensively, "Beauty is dialectical. Okay? When the frame of reference changes, our definition of beauty. Speak English. It's like picking the best apple from a bad bunch, all right? Otherwise, college life would be a total drag. To be fair, the girls in Michael Thompson's year were generally quite attractive, and Sarah and Amy were definitely the two standouts. Michael Thompson wasn't particularly impressed. Even together, their looks didn't quite measure up to Olivia. But he had to admit, Amy did have a killer body. After everyone had introduced themselves, it was time to elect class representatives. Mr. Gibson asked if anyone wanted to nominate themselves. If there was only one volunteer, they'd be appointed. If there were more, they'd hold a vote. If no one volunteered, they'd figure out later. Perhaps eager to make a good impression in college, quite a few people volunteered, and some were even pushed forward by their roommates. Michael Thompson wasn't interested. He'd already done the whole college thing once, so he decided to skip all class officer roles and student union activities this time around. Too much of a time waster. The other positions were filled easily enough. But when it came to class president, Gregory Wilson piped up, "Let the freshman representative be president." Others joined in the chorus, but Michael Thompson just deadpanned, "Call me Handsome." "So, Handsome, you want to be class president?" "No." He refused point blank. Mr. Gibson looked a bit awkward and turned to the class. "Anyone else interested in being class president? It's a bit more responsibility, but it's good experience for college." "Professor, I can give a try." Sarah raised her hand from the crowd. Mr. Gibson nodded. "Anyone else?" A girl with braids, glasses, and a round face also stood up. With 2 candidates for class president, they went to a class vote. Sarah was clearly much more popular, and the vote was overwhelmingly in her favor. Michael Thompson saw that Gregory Wilson's whole dorm had voted for Sarah, and he guessed most of the guys had too. The result was obvious. Amy became their class president, and the plain-looking girl with braids became the league secretary. After the class meeting, there was nothing else scheduled for the afternoon. Orientation week started tomorrow, but Michael Thompson had already requested leave and didn't plan to attend. He didn't even need to be on campus during orientation week. He was going to focus on preparing for the 10-month National Young Artist Competition at Samuel Shaw's place. As Michael Thompson walked out of the building, he was debating whether to head over to Harvard to pick up Olivia Sullivan for turkey dinner, or just go home when he bumped into Jessica Sullivan. "Hey, freshman." Jessica Sullivan greeted him enthusiastically. She had just come from the campus recreation center, carrying a gym bag, her hair still a little damp and smelling faintly of shampoo. After saying a few words to her friend, she walked over to Michael Thompson, stood in front of him, glanced at the building behind him, and asked, "Class meeting just finished?" Michael Thompson nodded, "Yeah." Jessica Sullivan immediately said, "Then you haven't had turkey dinner yet? Let's go to the cafeteria together." Michael Thompson was about to decline, but Jessica Sullivan cut him off. "You promised to treat me to turkey dinner last time." He chuckled. Honestly, I always thought people who got into college were smart enough to know what polite small talk is. Freshman, are you always this annoying? I was serious. Jessica Sullivan said playfully, raising a fist at him. Michael Thompson nodded. Senior, my girlfriend says the same thing about me. Freshman, is this your way of flirting with girls? No, I'm not flirting with you. Michael Thompson pulled out his phone, showing her a call log. The girlfriend I'm talking about is my actual girlfriend, and I'm on my way to pick her up for turkey dinner. So, gotta run, senior. I'll definitely treat you to turkey dinner next time. Definitely next time basically meant never. Jessica Sullivan's forehead veins practically popped. This guy. But by the time she looked up, Michael Thompson was already gone, and she kicked the nearby lamppost a couple of times in frustration. Meanwhile, Olivia Sullivan had also just finished her class meeting and was heading to the cafeteria with her roommates for turkey dinner. Harvard cafeteria was known for being cheap and good, with low prices, decent food, and a wide variety. If they offered takeout, all the diners around Harvard would probably go out of business. As Olivia Sullivan sat down with her vegetarian pasta, her phone buzzed. She saw it was Michael Thompson calling and couldn't help but smile sweetly as she answered. Hello? Olivia, is the Harvard cafeteria food any good? Michael Thompson asked out of the blue. Olivia Sullivan paused, looking down at her pasta. It's all right, I guess. Okay, I'm heading over to your school, then to sample Harvard cuisine. Wait, you're coming now? Olivia Sullivan said in surprise. I'm having turkey dinner with my roommates. Michael Thompson was actually a little surprised to hear that Olivia Sullivan was having dinner with her roommates. Looks like Olivia is getting along well with her roommates. Michael Thompson joked. You say that like you don't want me to come over. Have we already hit the honeymoon phase, ending so soon after getting together? No way. Olivia Sullivan immediately denied over the phone, then said embarrassedly, it's just, every time you come, they tease me. Shouldn't you be teasing them for not having boyfriends? Michael Thompson wasn't going to let something like that stop him from seeing Olivia Sullivan. Olivia Sullivan's roommates would have to get used to such minor things sooner or later anyway. Olivia Sullivan couldn't argue with him and had to say, okay, fine, come over. I'm on the second floor of the first cafeteria, by the window. Okay, great. I'll pick up some fruit on the way. Is there anything you especially want? Watermelon. Got it. After Michael Thompson hung up, he left the school to go buy fruit on the pedestrian street. On the other side, in the Harvard University cafeteria, just as Olivia Sullivan put down her phone, Laura Carter teased, lovey-dovey with your boyfriend again? Olivia Sullivan said shyly. Michael Thompson said he wanted to come and try the Harvard University cafeteria. He doesn't want to try our school's cafeteria. He clearly wants to try how soft our little Sue's lips are. Linda Miller was outgoing and quite bold with her jokes. Olivia Sullivan immediately blushed crimson and glared at Linda Miller. Oh, little beauty is angry. Dorm leader, protect me. Linda Miller playfully hid behind Laura Carter and was scolded and laughed at by Laura Carter. However, Michael Thompson arrived quite late, and after Laura Carter and the others finished eating, they left first, very considerately not staying to be a third wheel. When Michael Thompson arrived at the Harvard University cafeteria, carrying the fresh fruit he bought, he saw Olivia Sullivan sitting there obediently waiting for him. Where are your roommates? He sat down opposite Olivia Sullivan and casually placed the fruit on the table. They went back already, Olivia Sullivan replied, opening the bag and looking at what fruits Michael Thompson had bought. Besides the watermelon she wanted, he also bought some mangoes, grapes, and other fruits. Michael Thompson gave Olivia Sullivan's roommates a thumbs up in his mind. Your roommates are really perceptive, much better than that Claire Evans. You always badmouth Claire when she's not around, Olivia Sullivan said irritably, then continued. You bought way too much. We don't have a fridge in the dorm. I can't finish it all. Share with your roommates, and if you still can't finish it, just throw it away. Wasting food is bad, Olivia Sullivan said softly, peeling a grape, and blushing, handed it to Michael Thompson. You eat some too. This was the first time she had ever willingly fed Michael Thompson something. Michael Thompson opened his mouth and took it, smiling. All right, we'll eat the fruit later. I haven't eaten yet. What's good in your cafeteria? The spicy beef stir-fry from window number 2 is pretty good, Olivia Sullivan said, pointing to a window not far away. Michael Thompson was just about to get up to order food when he saw Olivia Sullivan pick up her chopsticks, preparing to eat noodles. He pointed at the noodle soup. It's already cold. Well, already ordered when you called. Next time you come, tell me in advance. Don't just surprise me again. Olivia Sullivan complained softly, then earnestly started picking out the cilantro from her noodle soup. Michael Thompson asked, puzzled. You already ordered. You could have eaten first. Olivia Sullivan wrinkled her nose, pursing her lips into a thin line. But I wanted to eat with you. Michael Thompson chuckled, speechless, and took her hand. All right, let's order something new. That's too wasteful. Olivia was a good girl who had thriftiness ingrained in her bones. But she was still forced by Michael Thompson to order new food. In the end, the bowl of vegetarian pasta soup wasn't wasted. Michael Thompson ate it himself, making do with it, and also ordered the spicy beef stir-fry Olivia Sullivan recommended as a side dish. Olivia Sullivan had her new lunch in front of her, looking at it a bit conflicted, and muttered, I already took a bite of the other one. Michael Thompson laughed. I don't even mind your saliva when we kiss. What a bite of noodles. Olivia Sullivan immediately kicked him gently under the table, embarrassed and annoyed. But by now she was already used to Michael Thompson's occasional improper remarks, and quickly moved past it, excitedly starting to tell Michael Thompson about things that had happened at school in the past 2 days. People and events in her class, and some interesting places at Harvard University. Michael Thompson played the role of a serious listener, happily listening and peeling grapes for her. You could tell that Olivia's excitement from just starting college hadn't faded yet. Her words were full of beautiful hopes for university life. But starting tomorrow, she would be participating in orientation week. Hopefully the tough orientation week life wouldn't extinguish her current enthusiasm. Michael Thompson couldn't do anything to help with that either. He just hoped that after orientation week ended, his fair-skinned girlfriend wouldn't turn into a little black skin. Will you come again tomorrow? Olivia Sullivan was still very happy about Michael Thompson taking the initiative to come see her these past 2 days and couldn't help but look forward to tomorrow. Michael Thompson shook his head. I probably won't come to this side of campus for a while. I'll come back to class after orientation week is over. Olivia Sullivan muttered. If only we went to the same school. We could see each other every day. Michael Thompson seized the opportunity and said, How about we move in together? Then we can see each other every day. He had actually been thinking about this all along, but knew that Olivia wouldn't be so easily persuaded on this point. She definitely wouldn't agree to living together right after starting college. Sure enough, as soon as Olivia Sullivan heard this, she immediately pinched him with her hand, blushing and scolding in a low voice. Pervert. Michael Thompson coaxed. What do you mean, pervert? It's just living together. We can rent a 2-bedroom apartment. But the result was as he expected. Olivia Sullivan wouldn't agree no matter what he said. Michael Thompson wasn't discouraged. He had expected this result. Olivia was an overly conservative girl. If it weren't for Michael Thompson's influence, she might even ask on eBay after getting married, is it normal for my husband to want to sleep in the same bed after marriage? Most importantly, even if Olivia Sullivan actually agreed, it would be inconvenient for him. After all, Howard Banks definitely wouldn't agree to him moving out right now. As for having Olivia Sullivan move into his mentor's house, Michael Thompson hadn't actually considered that. Michael Thompson hadn't actually considered that. Although the Huang family had plenty of empty rooms. Firstly, he didn't want to trouble his mentor and his wife. And secondly, who would want to live with their girlfriend under the same roof as elders when cohabitating? But it's okay. These problems will be resolved eventually. During university, he definitely had to live together with Olivia. Michael Thompson silently made up his mind, while Olivia Sullivan beside him, having heard him, was blushing crimson. She also silently clenched her small fist, determined not to let Michael Thompson succeed so easily. At least it had to be after graduation. Orientation week was tough. Every day, before the sun even peeked over the horizon, we had to get down and run drills, then practice military stances under the blazing midday sun on the sports field. Freshmen were trying every trick in the book to get the heavens to open up and rain. They tried all sorts of weird and wacky methods, hanging countless Teru Teraboza dolls upside down from their door balconies. Unfortunately, the weather gods just weren't cooperating. Actually, the weather in Boston had been quite nice lately. No one was even in the mood to check out the pretty girls anymore. After all, everyone was stuck wearing the same hideous orientation week uniform, drenched in sweat. Of course, none of this bothered Michael Thompson, who was happily enjoying the air conditioning in his room. He even thought about grabbing a watermelon and an ice-cold soda and sitting on the lawn outside the sports field to watch his classmates suffer through orientation week. But then he figured he might get beat up if he did that, so he decided against it. But Michael Thompson wasn't exactly lazing around doing nothing either. Lately, he'd been catching flack from Howard Banks every day at home. I've been teaching you traditional Chinese painting for so long, and it's still not as good as your self-taught sculpture. Howard Banks had originally been extremely pleased with his apprentice. He'd always thought of Michael as a prodigy, an artistic genius whose talent was simply mind-blowing beyond any normal measure. He even dared to say Michael Thompson could reach his current level before the age of 30. But ever since Michael Thompson's sculpting skills reached the master level, his sculpting had surpassed his painting. And then, when Michael came back, he brought Howard Banks a gift, a small, square seal. Even if Howard Banks didn't know much about sculpting, he had an eye for art. Besides, after Michael Thompson's sculpting skills broke through to the master level, his works possessed a special effect of emotional conveyance. In layman's terms, Michael Thompson's sculptures had come alive. But when Howard Banks looked at his paintings, while they were exquisite, they were still lifeless. Traditional Chinese painting emphasized implied emotion, conveyed emotion, and shared emotion. It also valued freehand style, not being confined to mere form likeness, but focusing more on spiritual likeness. But Michael Thompson's initial artistic foundation was in oil painting, which emphasized realistic likeness to the point of being indistinguishable from reality. While he had some foundation in traditional Chinese painting, it wasn't as strong. He mainly focused on learning it in this lifetime. Some of his ingrained habits were now becoming obstacles. No wonder Howard Banks was getting frustrated. Here he was, a national treasure-level master in the world of traditional Chinese painting, teaching his disciple, and yet his disciple's self-taught sculpture was better than his painting. What was this? Was he failing as a teacher? It was like rubbing salt in his wounds. Howard Banks, this little old man, wasn't a bad person. He genuinely liked Michael Thompson, this extraordinarily talented disciple, and wanted to groom him as his successor. But nobody's perfect, not even national treasure-level masters. He had his own personality flaws. He was quick-tempered, very sensitive about his reputation, and sometimes impatient for results. When it came to Michael Thompson, strict was an understatement. He felt that his disciple's talent was a gift from the heavens, and it absolutely couldn't be wasted, not even a fraction of it. If eating and sleeping weren't absolute necessities, he'd wish Michael Thompson would spend every moment painting. So lately, Howard Banks had even stopped going to the university. He usually taught a couple of open classes there each week, but now he was holed up at home, single-mindedly focused on tutoring his disciple in painting. Michael Thompson was pretty helpless about it. He couldn't force a breakthrough to the master level in painting, no matter how hard he tried. He'd tried pouring his emotions into his paintings. He'd even specifically asked Olivia Sullivan to model for him and painted her portrait again, but it still didn't work. Luckily, Michael Thompson had been through a lot. He had a thick skin and incredible resilience to pressure. He could still find joy in the midst of hardship, and his mental state hadn't been affected much. Honestly, he was pretty laid back in this life and didn't plan to compete for anything. He wasn't planning on running a business. As long as he had enough money to spend, that was fine. He didn't have any goals to be number one in any field. It was all the same to him. All he wanted in this life was to live happily, do things he enjoyed, and maybe have a wife and kids to come home to. So he was pretty chill about when he'd break through to the master level in traditional Chinese painting. Every day, he still studied painting diligently, but his mindset was calm and unhurried. He wasn't letting his hot-tempered master get to him. Slow and steady wins the race, he figured. It would happen when it happened. Even while he was idly painting at home, Michael Thompson hadn't forgotten about the dress he was making for the big star, Vanessa Sullivan. Vanessa Sullivan also lived in Boston, but her work took her all over the country. She'd been filming at Hollywood studios recently. When she heard that Michael Thompson had brought the finished evening gown, she immediately took leave from the film crew at Hollywood studios and flew back to Boston. As soon as she got off the plane, she called Michael Thompson. "Busy bee, come out here and take your beating. Maybe I just won't meet you. I'll just mail it over." It seemed the big star was still furious with someone for standing her up for so long. Even Michael Thompson himself was a little embarrassed this time. After all, standing someone up for a whole year was just not something a decent person would do. But Vanessa Sullivan clearly wasn't planning to let him off the hook. "Enough nonsense, get out here now. I took leave from the film crew just to come back and punch you. You're going to stand there and take one punch. No dodging allowed." Michael Thompson said helplessly. "Public figure, remember your image. If I could get away with it, I'd hold a press conference just to punch you." Vanessa Sullivan let loose a string of curses, letting him know that the innocent sweetheart from TV could actually swear like a sailor in private. Michael Thompson held the phone a little further away, letting her vent until she was satisfied before bringing it back to his ear. Honestly, Vanessa Sullivan was actually a pretty good client. She paid generously and promptly. Logically, after a year's delay, she'd be within her rights to send Michael Thompson a lawyer's letter. All she was doing now was yelling at him a bit. He could take it. Towards the end of the call, she snapped an address at Michael Thompson. 6 p.m. today. I'll text you the location. All right, hang up now. We'll talk about the rest when we meet. Michael Thompson looked at his phone as the call ended, shaking his head with a wry smile. He put his phone away, pulled out the box containing the dress from under his bed, left his room, and went into the courtyard. In the courtyard, Howard Banks was wearing his reading glasses, carefully examining a few sheets of rice paper with ink that hadn't quite dried, muttering to himself, "Where is it lacking? Master, I'm heading out." Michael Thompson patted the box in his arms. "I'm delivering something for a friend." Howard Banks waved his hand dismissively, indicating he could go. Although Howard Banks wished his disciple could devote 25 hours a day to investing in art, Elizabeth Shaw doted on Michael Thompson and had laid down some ground rules for both of them. There was a set time each day for painting, leaving Michael Thompson plenty of time to rest, and even time to go out on a date or something. After saying his goodbyes, Michael Thompson headed out, box in tow. As he waited at the corner to hail a cab, he got a little bored and started thinking, maybe it's time I got myself a car. Vanessa Sullivan had arranged to meet at a noodle shop in Green Valley Market. Despite being a big star, she chose a surprisingly unassuming place, tucked away beside the market. The shop didn't even have a sign, just 4 or 5 tables inside, occupied by a few diners. Vanessa Sullivan, wearing sunglasses, was sitting at a corner table, accompanied by Lily Carter, who was wearing a mask. They seemed to be deep in conversation. Michael Thompson spotted her through the glass window of the shop door. He was about to push the door open and go in when he saw Vanessa Sullivan suddenly wave her hand a few times in the air, as if she were practicing her swing for an upcoming battle, testing out angles and force. He had pushed the door halfway open, but then quietly closed it again. Is she serious? Michael Thompson suddenly didn't feel like going in anymore. He glanced around and noticed a motorcycle shop nearby. An idea sparked in his mind. Clutching the box, he headed towards a motorcycle shop. "Take this." Vanessa Sullivan slapped her palm down on the table with a smack. Opening her hand, a fly lay dead in her palm. She grinned triumphantly, flicked her fingers, and muttered, "Little pest, can't beat me, huh?" Lily Carter, watching Vanessa Sullivan getting so bored she'd resorted to swatting flies, couldn't help but ask, "Vanessa, did we really need to rush back to Boston for this?" "Of course it's necessary. What if it gets damaged in the mail? What if the package gets lost?" Vanessa Sullivan said matter-of-factly. Mainly, after Michael Thompson had sent her photos of the finished product, the stunning dress had instantly captivated her. She couldn't bear to wait any longer and had come herself to see it in person to be sure. Lily Carter was a bit puzzled. "It's just a dress, right?" "Huh. Do you know how much I paid for this dress?" Vanessa Sullivan held up a hand and said dramatically, $500,000. And I've been waiting for a year and a half. $500,000. Lily Carter gasped, completely unable to imagine someone spending $500,000 on a dress. She was Vanessa Sullivan's junior from university, only recently graduated, and her monthly salary as Vanessa Sullivan's assistant was just $8,000. This one dress alone would take her 5 or 6 years of working without spending a penny to afford. Lily Carter became instantly curious about what kind of dress could be worth that much and require over a year's wait. She couldn't help but ask, "Is it designed by some famous international designer? Even you have to wait so long. Vanessa, they must be incredibly high profile." Mentioning this, Vanessa Sullivan's lips twitched. Never mind. You'll know when he gets here." Just as Lily Carter was about to ask more, she saw someone carrying a box walking towards their table. As the person approached, Lily Carter immediately stood up, looking a bit nervous. The person was wearing a motorcycle helmet and didn't seem like he worked at the shop. Lily Carter thought they might have encountered someone suspicious. After all, Vanessa Sullivan was quite famous, and some overzealous fans were inevitable. To prevent any extreme actions from overly enthusiastic fans, this was the moment for Lily Carter to step up. She mentally cheered herself on, preparing to politely inform the person no photos allowed. Vanessa Sullivan also sat there with a cold expression, her aura silently declaring, "Keep out." But before Lily Carter could say anything to deter the person, the man in the motorcycle helmet pulled up his visor, revealing half of his face. "Ms. Vanessa, long time no see." Vanessa Sullivan slid her sunglasses down her nose a bit, revealing her beautiful almond-shaped eyes, and said with a strange look, "Michael Thompson? You came on a motorcycle?" "No, I took a cab." "Then what's with the helmet?" "Isn't it for protection from slaps?" Hearing Michael Thompson say this so matter-of-factly, Vanessa Sullivan burst out laughing. After a while, she covered her mouth, coughed lightly, and said with exasperation, all right, take off the helmet, I won't hit you." "No need, today I'm just a delivery guy. I'll drop off the stuff and leave." Michael Thompson placed a box on the table and said to her, "Open it and take a look." If there are no problems, we're even. Vanessa Sullivan pointed around at the surroundings of the shop. Here? Am I supposed to try it on here? Just check the style. You can try it on when you get back. No way. What if it doesn't fit? Then you'll have to rework it. Vanessa Sullivan decided. My hotel is nearby. You're coming back to the hotel with me later. Wait until I try it on and confirm it fits. Then you can leave. Michael Thompson immediately became unwilling. Are you questioning my professional skills? Unless you've gained weight since I took your measurements, I guarantee it will fit. Vanessa Sullivan blushed instantly, feeling a bit embarrassed. She actually did think she had put on a little weight, but that was the last thing a girl wanted to admit. She slammed her hand on the table, flustered and annoyed. The measurements were taken a year and a half ago. It's normal for body shape to change. Michael Thompson clicked his tongue, sounding bothered. So you really did gain weight, huh? TSK. Alterations are a pain. But now he really couldn't leave. Otherwise, if it really didn't fit, he'd have to make another trip to take the dress back for alterations. However, Michael Thompson was reluctant to go to the hotel. I'm not going to the hotel with you. You're a public figure. It'll be troublesome if paparazzi snap photos. Vanessa Sullivan looked at him with considerable surprise. You're actually thinking of me? That's really unexpected. Honestly, are you a fan of mine? If you confess now, it's not like I wouldn't give you an autograph. She teased Michael Thompson with a smile. Michael Thompson sighed and said, I just think it would affect my reputation. Vanessa Sullivan. Michael Thompson added insult to injury at just the right moment. After all, I'm only a freshman in college, still a flower of the motherland. With someone like you, Annie, it's inappropriate. Vanessa Sullivan was starting to tremble with anger, her clenched fists turning white at the knuckles. And it would be troublesome if my girlfriend saw it, Michael Thompson said, seemingly complaining, but actually showing off. Although she looks like a harmless little bunny, she's surprisingly jealous, and she's really difficult to deal with when she gets truly angry. This unexpected mouthful of dog food left her speechless. She snatched off her sunglasses, her eyebrows furrowed, her eyes practically spitting fire. Very well, you've successfully provoked me. Take off that helmet right now, immediately. Vanessa Sullivan, losing all composure, reached out to grab Michael Thompson's helmet. Michael Thompson held onto his helmet tightly with both hands, refusing to let go no matter what. Lily Carter, standing to the side, was dumbfounded, unsure whether to help or just watch. She could only hug Vanessa Sullivan's waist and desperately plead, Vanessa, please, just let it go. Their playful banter quickly drew the attention of the few other customers in the diner. Luckily, no one recognized that the girl yelling, watch out, or I'll bash your skull in, was Sarah Sullivan, a major celebrity at the peak of her fame. Vanessa Sullivan, image-conscious as she was, reluctantly let go of him when she noticed people were staring. Michael Thompson straightened up, rubbed his neck, and said with relief, good thing I wore my helmet. Talk about foresight. I'm amazing. Vanessa Sullivan glared at him, but it had no effect. She just huffed and sat down, sulking. If not the hotel, then where do you suggest we go? Michael Thompson pointed towards the east from the diner entrance. When I came over, I saw a public restroom over there. Vanessa Sullivan looked utterly shocked. You want me to change into a Hollywood Walk of Fame gown in a public restroom? Michael Thompson nodded as if it were the most obvious thing in the world and helpfully added, that dress has a long train, so remember to hold it up when you come out. And if it gets pee on it, just deal with it. This dress is hard to clean and shrinks easily. Michael Thompson, come on. Today, one of us is going down. We need to settle this right here and now. Let go of me. Vanessa, calm down, calm down. Vanessa Sullivan, flailing her arms, was about to lunge at him, but Lily Carter crouched down, grabbing her around the waist and pleading with her to stop. Michael Thompson wasn't one to back down either. He pulled out his phone, switched to the front camera, and snapped a selfie of the three of them, throwing up a peace sign. Vanessa Sullivan looked horrified. Delete that photo right now. Michael Thompson, are you trying to get yourself killed? You sit down and behave, and I'll delete it. Otherwise, I'm calling up a reporter from Entertainment Weekly. I've already got the headline, Scandal. America's sweetheart has a dark side. Faced with Michael Thompson's blackmail, Vanessa Sullivan was seething, but she grudgingly sat down. In the end, they compromised. Michael Thompson wouldn't go to Vanessa Sullivan's room. Instead, he'd wait for her in the hotel lobby to make sure the dress fit after she changed. Michael Thompson stood up, urging, all right, let's go then. What are we waiting for? Vanessa Sullivan huffed, still looking annoyed. I haven't eaten a thing all day. We're eating first. What do you want? My treat. Michael Thompson glanced around the modest diner and quipped, wow, aren't you generous? Thanks, but no thanks. I ate before I came out. Suit yourself. She said a few words to Lily Carter, and Lily Carter eagerly went to order. When the food arrived, Michael Thompson noticed Vanessa Sullivan had ordered just a simple bowl of clam chowder, while Lily Carter got herself a meatball sub. Vanessa Sullivan took a sip of her soup with a spoon, then looked up at Michael Thompson. "Why are you staring? Haven't you ever seen a beautiful woman eating clam chowder?" Michael Thompson didn't deny it. "I'm just surprised to see a big star like you being so down-to-earth. What, did you think I eat steak and pasta 3 times a day, or only dine at fancy restaurants?" Vanessa Sullivan chuckled. "My college was near here. I used to come to this diner all the time for their clam chowder. I just have a taste for it. I always get it whenever I'm back in Boston." Michael Thompson asked, intrigued, "Is it really that good?" She smiled. "Maybe it's more about the memories." Michael Thompson nodded, understanding. After he was reborn, when he had his mom's barbecue ribs again, he almost cried, didn't he? Those ribs weren't exactly gourmet, just home cooking, but they were packed with Michael Thompson's fond memories of home. Michael Thompson glanced at Vanessa Sullivan. She was daintily spooning up the clam chowder, taking tiny, affected bites. She seemed to be enjoying it, though. Youth was probably what she was remembering. After all, she was practically 30, ancient Maggie. Good thing Vanessa Sullivan couldn't read Michael Thompson's mind like Olivia Sullivan could. Otherwise, she probably would have lost her appetite for the clam chowder. She might have just dumped the whole bowl in Michael Thompson's face. After Vanessa Sullivan finished her clam chowder at a leisurely pace, Lily Carter paid the bill, and the 3 of them left the diner. Michael Thompson got into Vanessa Sullivan's car to go to her hotel. The hotel was indeed as close as Vanessa Sullivan had said. It was so close that Michael Thompson had barely found a seatbelt and was about to buckle up when they arrived. "We could just walked, it's so close." Michael Thompson muttered, a little exasperated, as he followed Vanessa Sullivan into the hotel. Vanessa Sullivan said defensively, "Parking on the street costs money. Parking in the hotel garage is free. Some people will drop $500,000 on a dress without blinking, but then nickel and dime you over a quarter for parking." Michael Thompson just couldn't understand women's spending habits. When they reached the hotel elevators, Vanessa Sullivan swept into the elevator with an air of importance, Lily Carter trailing behind her like a puppy, carrying the dress box. Vanessa pressed the button and pointed at Michael Thompson's helmet. "Are you going to take that motorcycle helmet off? The hotel staff are going to think you're some kind of suspicious character." Michael Thompson chuckled and took off his motorcycle helmet, revealing a clean-cut, handsome face with sharp features. "Oh," Lily Carter gasped, staring at Michael Thompson in surprise. "Keep your phone on and stay in touch. And if you even think about running off, you'll regret it," Vanessa Sullivan threatened, narrowing her eyes. Michael Thompson waved dismissively. "Relax, after-sales service is guaranteed." "That's better." Vanessa Sullivan finally smiled. She pressed the button for her floor, then waved at Michael Thompson. "See you in a bit." The elevator doors closed, and they began to ascend. When they reached the 6th floor, the doors opened, and Vanessa Sullivan and Lily Carter stepped out, heading towards their room. Once they were out of the elevator, Lily Carter finally snapped out her daze. "Vanessa, he's so young." Michael Thompson had been wearing his motorcycle helmet the whole time, and even though Lily Carter could tell he was young from his voice, when he took off the helmet, she realized he was even younger than she'd thought. He looked like he was still in high school. Vanessa Sullivan nodded. "Yeah, he's really young. He's what, 19 this year?" 19, Lily Carter exclaimed, then suddenly it clicked. "Oh, I get it. His teacher made the dress, right? He's just delivering it for him." Vanessa Sullivan glanced at her and smirked. "Nope, he made himself." "Huh, don't let his age fool you, that kid. He's a real prodigy." As Vanessa Sullivan said this, she couldn't help but remember the breathtaking gown she'd seen at the Sullivan family debutante ball. A wave of emotion washed over her. Speaking of which, Michael Thompson had mentioned a girlfriend. Could it be that Sullivan family girl? Wait a minute, did this guy learn to make clothes just to get girls? Vanessa Sullivan returned to her room, shut the door, and eagerly tore open the box. The cardboard box was lined with plenty of foam padding, and nestled inside was a black gown. The moment she pulled out the gown, her eyes lit up. The fine black fabric was like the night sky itself. It was a one-shoulder design, with a galaxy of tiny diamonds sprinkled across the left shoulder, and silver fringe tassels flowed from below the waist, like liquid light. The gown was called Starry Sky. It was a stark contrast to the conservative and demure phoenix gold embroidery. This one was much bolder. Its figure-hugging style was something only a woman with a flawless physique could pull off. "Wait, does it change color?" Lily Carter suddenly exclaimed, pointing in astonishment at the gown Vanessa was holding. Vanessa noticed it too. Her slender fingers lightly traced the surface of the gown, feeling a subtle texture beneath her fingertips. The black sections of the gown were embroidered with intricate and fantastical designs, using thread spun from a special color-changing fabric. Depending on the light, different patterns would emerge. Imagine Vanessa Sullivan stepping onto a stage in this gown. Every audience member would see her in a slightly different light, adding an air of mystique. Vanessa was falling more and more in love with it. She gazed at it for a long moment, completely smitten, before eagerly announcing, "Wait for me, I want to try it on, and then you have to take some pictures." Lily nodded immediately. "Okay, Vanessa." Vanessa disappeared into the suite and didn't reappear for a good half hour. But when she finally emerged, it was like the whole room lit up. Lily's jaw dropped. She stood there, speechless for a good long while. Vanessa glided gracefully to the full-length mirror. Looking at her reflection, she knew one thing for sure. Next time she walked the Hollywood Walk of Fame, those flashy little bitches wouldn't know what hit them. A year and a half of waiting, totally worth it. Michael Thompson was a freaking genius. In the mirror, she looked regal, but never gaudy, elegant yet ethereal. The black gown showcased her figure to perfection. Michael Thompson had been waiting in the hotel lobby for ages when Vanessa Sullivan finally came down. Of course, she wasn't wearing the gown. She was dressed down in a rather plain tracksuit and sunglasses, but still managed to exude a chic, urban vibe. It was clear she was in a great mood. She was all smiles when she saw Michael Thompson. Michael Thompson stood up and asked, "Need any alterations?" "It fits perfectly," she said, "but I still think Phoenix Gold embroidery is better than Starry Sky." Vanessa was trying to nitpick, but Michael Thompson didn't argue with her. Starry Sky really wasn't as good as Phoenix Gold embroidery. The level of care and attention put into each was vastly different. One was made for his future wife. The other was just for a paycheck. Phoenix Gold embroidery was one of the most exceptional pieces in Michael Thompson's entire collection of high-end gowns. Starry Sky, on the other hand, relied more on novelty to impress. Color-changing fabric was virtually unheard of in the current high-end fashion market, so Michael Thompson was definitely breaking new ground. But even so, Michael Thompson was confident that Starry Sky could still blow most of those so-called master designers out of the water. After all, he was at the top of his game. Of course, when faced with his client's criticism, Michael Thompson immediately denied it. "No way," he said. "Everyone has different tastes, right? I designed it specifically for your personal style. Starry Sky is definitely more you than Phoenix Gold embroidery. Besides, Starry Sky cost way more to make." That part wasn't a lie. Artistry aside, just in terms of cost, Starry Sky was indeed pricier than Phoenix Gold embroidery. Phoenix Gold embroidery was designed to showcase the beauty of the Phoenix embroidery itself, so it didn't rely on expensive embellishments. Its biggest expense was just the 1 pound of pure gold thread. Starry Sky was expensive because of the diamonds, all D-color, VVS clarity, and not just tiny chips either. There were whole, carat diamonds sprinkled throughout. The diamonds alone cost nearly $250,000, bringing the total cost of the gown to $320,000. Vanessa wasn't buying Michael Thompson's excuses. She just pursed her lips and said, "Even if we ignore all that, you delivered this a year late, didn't you? I haven't even brought that up. Agree to one condition, and I'll let it slide." "What condition?" "Make me another one. Name your price." "Absolutely not." Michael Thompson refused without hesitation. Vanessa was taken aback. "Why not?" "Got bored with it." "Switching careers," Michael Thompson said casually. "I'm taking painting lessons now and teaching myself sculpture, fashion design, and all that. Pretty much done with it." "Bored?" "Bored." Vanessa was completely bewildered, unable to comprehend or accept it. Throwing away such a gift, just to go learn something else? It was like Picasso suddenly giving up painting to become a blacksmith, or Beethoven ditching the piano for cotton ginning, Newton abandoning science for theology. Wait, actually, scratch that last one. She couldn't wrap her head around Michael Thompson's thought process. Even though it wasn't her business, she couldn't help but try to talk him out of it. "Seriously, you're wasting your talent. You should stick with fashion design. You're destined for greatness." "I know," Michael Thompson said with a slight smile. Then he asked, "But how do you know my talent in other fields isn't even greater than in fashion?" "A genius is a genius, no matter what they do." Michael Thompson quickly said goodbye to his superstar client and headed home. Vanessa still couldn't fathom Michael Thompson's decision, but she didn't push him to make another gown. She just told him that if he ever needed cash and wanted to make some quick money, he could come to her. She'd pay him up front in cash. Women's money, so easy to make. JPG. Michael Thompson didn't refuse, but in his heart, he doubted he'd have much to do with Vanessa Sullivan again. After all, in this life, he didn't really need a lot of money. Enough was enough. Besides, he was working on becoming the next Robert Thompson, so money wouldn't exactly be an issue in the future. And let's not forget his super rich girlfriend. Business with Vanessa Sullivan done, Michael Thompson simply deleted the superstar's contact info. After all, who knew when Olivia Sullivan might start getting into the habit of checking up on him? Last time he just exchanged messenger info with Olivia Sullivan's roommate, and she'd been sulking about it for ages. In the days that followed, Michael Thompson's life returned to its usual peaceful rhythm. He spent his days learning to paint with Samuel Shaw, his evenings studying painting and sculpture through the system's dream training program, and occasionally going on dates with Olivia Sullivan. The only downside was that even after orientation week ended and he was back in classes, he still hadn't found that spark with traditional Chinese painting to reach the master-apprentice relationship level. Rhode Island School of Design had just finished orientation week, and it was the first official day of classes. Michael Thompson arrived at school and sat in the classroom, looking at his classmates whom he hadn't seen in a while. They were all noticeably tanned. Only he remained fair-skinned and as handsome as ever. As soon as class ended, Tyler Johnson, sporting a dark tan from orientation week, put Michael Thompson in a headlock, playfully scolding, "Damn it, how come we gotta skip orientation week? Is it cause you're the freshman representative, or something?" Gregory Wilson, standing nearby, chimed in with a sour tone. "I told you Michael Thompson was connected. You guys didn't believe me. Freshman rep was supposed to be me." He was short and not particularly good-looking to begin with, and now, tanned to a crisp, he looked like he'd just walked out of a refugee camp. The others around them burst into laughter. "Come on, Four Eyes," one of them said, "still on about that." Michael Thompson grinned and said, "Four Eyes is right, actually. I am connected. Damn it, I knew it. Your dad donated a building to the school, right?" "Nope," Michael Thompson said, leaning closer and lowering his voice conspiratorially. "Actually, the dean of our department, Howard Banks, is Samuel Shaw." The guys around them exchanged glances, then burst out laughing again. "Yeah, and I'm telling you Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg are my cousins. I heard from upperclassmen that Dean Howard Banks doesn't take students. He just comes to school occasionally to give a few open lectures. Today's our first official day of class, and we haven't even met him yet. How could you possibly be his student?" Everyone thought Michael Thompson was joking and didn't take it seriously. Tyler Johnson egged them on even more. "All right, everyone, lend a hand. Let's hoist this loner up and ram him into a tree." Michael Thompson's face immediately fell. He spun around and took off running. He wasn't about to be subjected to such public humiliation, but male friendships can be strange sometimes. After a few words and a bit of roughhousing, the initial awkwardness had faded, and Michael Thompson quickly blended in with the group. Jessica Sullivan had just come out of the art studio program, carrying her drawing board and chatting with a friend. "Hua Hua, are you entering the National Young Artist Competition next month?" her friend asked curiously. Jessica Sullivan nodded matter-of-factly. "Of course I'm entering. It's just online registration anyway, and I'm already working on my piece." "What about you, Xiaoru? If you place, you get extra credit. This kind of extra credit opportunity is better left to you talented people," Xiaoru said with a wry smile. "I'm not going to waste the registration fee. Counting you, there must be over 10 people entering from our class and the class next door. I bet it's just you guys from our whole department. Upperclassmen and freshmen might enter too, right? Maybe sophomores, but definitely not freshmen. Today's the first day of class for freshmen," Xiaoru said matter-of-factly, not even considering that a freshman would sign up for the National Young Artist Competition. After all, this professional competition is a whole different ballgame from what art students learn in high school. But Jessica Sullivan's mind drifted to a certain someone. She smiled and said, "Maybe not. Dean Howard Banks's disciple would probably enter, wouldn't he?" But Jessica Sullivan thought of that annoying freshman and felt a surge of irritation. Ever since that day, he said he was having lunch with his girlfriend and turned down her invitation to eat together. He'd vanished from campus. Jessica Sullivan had even deliberately checked out the freshman orientation week area, but he hadn't even shown up for orientation. Had the guy choked to death while eating with his girlfriend or something? Just as Jessica Sullivan was thinking these not-so-kind thoughts, a group of guys from the nearby classroom building came bursting out, carrying a guy aloft. The guy being held up was yelling frantically, "You bunch of bastards, put me down right now. Wait, let's talk this over. I'll treat you all to dinner, okay? How about all you can-eat barbecue ribs? And drinks are on me." Jessica Sullivan and Xiaoru were drawn by the commotion and stopped to watch. Xiaoru covered her mouth and giggled. "Freshman? Huh? So childish. Jessica Sullivan watched the guy being carried, a mix of amusement and annoyance in her eyes. She nodded in agreement. Like a bunch of idiots. That evening, at an outdoor barbecue restaurant on the pedestrian street outside the Rhode Island School of Design, Michael Thompson was treating a group of classmates to barbecue. Come on, everyone, don't hold back. We're not stopping until someone's under the table. Michael Thompson said, raising a glass of iced tea as if to propose a toast. This naturally drew a chorus of boos and jeers. You're such a fake, Tyler Johnson laughed, popping open a beer and handing it to Michael Thompson. Down one to get the party started. Michael Thompson chuckled. I'm allergic to alcohol, guys. Cut me some slack. He knew he wasn't a good drinker. Last time at his high school graduation party, he'd gotten completely wasted and Olivia Sullivan had been furious, strictly forbidding him from drinking again. So Michael Thompson just said he was allergic to alcohol to avoid drinking. Gregory Wilson cursed. What a buzzkill. I'll down one for everyone. Get things going. He grabbed a beer and started his performance, which consisted of two main parts, the whirlpool chug and the nasal fountain. He drank too fast and made a mess of it, which immediately had everyone around him roaring with laughter. But it definitely loosened things up, and everyone relaxed a lot more. Everyone there, except for Michael Thompson, had gone through orientation week together and knew each other pretty well. Michael Thompson was good at socializing and quickly hit it off with everyone, becoming fast friends. When they were halfway through the barbecue, a guy suddenly stood up and said to Michael Thompson with a smile, Michael, I'm going to pick up a few more people. A few more are coming. Michael Thompson had been holding his drink, chatting happily with the people next to him. Hearing this, the smile on his face faltered slightly, and he slowly put down his glass. Tyler Johnson, standing nearby, immediately cursed. Jason Miller, are you serious? Someone else is paying for dinner, and you're bringing extra people. Jason Miller, upon being scolded like that, immediately bristled. It's not just anyone, they're classmates too. Michael hasn't said anything. What are you jumping in for? Michael Thompson glanced at him, smiled, and said, if they're classmates, then it's fine. Go pick them up. But next time, it'd be better to check with me first. All right, I'm going then. Jason Miller didn't take Michael Thompson's words to heart and left nonchalantly. As soon as he left, Tyler Johnson spat and cursed. That guy's a real piece of work. He was ordering all the expensive stuff just now, and now he's pulling the stunt. Damn it. Gregory Wilson offered Michael Thompson a bad idea. Michael, how about we just ditch and leave Jason Miller with the bill? Michael Thompson waved his hand dismissively. No need to make things awkward. They're all classmates. We'll just hang out by ourselves next time and leave him out of it. Jason Miller's behavior was definitely annoying, but Michael Thompson wasn't going to let such a small thing bother him too much. In his past life, he'd experienced a lot and seen all kinds of people. This was nothing more than child's play. At most, he'd just ignore guys like that in the future. Tyler Johnson and a few others sat there, each lighting a cigarette and puffing out smoke. It was the middle of summer, and they had rolled their short sleeves up to their stomachs. Some were even shirtless, yelling at others to drink up. Michael Thompson watched from the side with a smile. Michael, want one? Tyler Johnson opened a pack of cigarettes, offering one to Michael Thompson. Michael Thompson took the cigarette, but didn't light it, just tucked it behind his ear. He could smoke, but he rarely did and wasn't addicted. After all, in his past life, his own father had died of lung cancer. Because of that, he would only smoke if he couldn't refuse at social events, otherwise he wouldn't touch them. In this life, however, Robert Thompson was healthy and well. Michael Thompson now made sure he went to the hospital for checkups every year. His lungs weren't great due to years of carving in the workshop and his smoking habit, but at least it wasn't serious enough to cause illness. After a while, Jason Miller showed up with some people in tow at the private room. They were indeed classmates, a few girls, including Vivian Carter, one of the prettiest girls in Michael Thompson's class. The other girls seemed to be her roommates. Damn it, why did Jason Miller have to bring little Chili? Tyler Johnson cursed, then quickly scrambled to put on a shirt, as he was shirtless. Because of Vivian Carter's incredibly hot and spicy figure, the boys in class had secretly nicknamed her Little Chili. She knew about it and didn't dislike the nickname. In fact, she kind of liked it. Originally, it was an all-boys gathering, and everyone was pretty relaxed. In this sweltering heat, quite a few were shirtless. But when Jason Miller brought some girls over, these freshly graduated high school boys suddenly became embarrassed. They quietly put on shirts, and their voices became softer. The lively party became noticeably subdued. Jason Miller didn't seem to care at all. Instead, he eagerly pulled out the chair next to him. Vivian, you sit here. Gregory Wilson, nicknamed Four Eyes, who had been standing there chugging beer from a bottle, saw this and immediately plopped down in the chair Jason Miller had pulled out. Jason Miller immediately flared up. "What the hell, Four Eyes? What are you doing? It's closer to the AC. Can't I sit here if I'm more comfortable?" Gregory Wilson had always disliked Jason Miller and didn't mince words. Jason Miller angrily tried to pull Gregory Wilson out of the chair, but Vivian Carter smoothed things over. "It's okay, it's too close to the AC here. I wouldn't be comfortable. I'll sit inside." She walked straight towards Michael Thompson, sat in the empty seat next to him, and greeted him with a smile. "Handsome, long time no see. Back and already throwing such a big bash." Her saying handsome had a teasing tone, as Michael Thompson had introduced himself at the beginning of the semester and told people to call him handsome. Michael Thompson, who had been chatting and laughing with others while reclining with his legs crossed, turned his gaze to her when he heard this and laughed. "Just treating classmates to a meal. What's so grand about that?" "Then why didn't you invite me?" "Aren't I a classmate?" she said, feigning annoyance. Michael Thompson said with a dry smile, "We're not close." The smile on Vivian Carter's face instantly froze. She hadn't expected Michael Thompson to be so direct, and for a moment, she didn't know how to respond. "But hey, after a drink, we'll be acquainted." Michael Thompson grabbed a disposable cup, poured a bourbon, handed it to Vivian Carter, and winked at her. "Beautiful lady, will you do me the honor of getting to know you?" He gave her a perfect out, and Vivian Carter's face immediately brightened. She took the glass with a smile and downed the bourbon in one go, even turning the glass upside down to show Michael Thompson it was empty. Michael Thompson gave her a thumbs up. "Didn't expect you to be such a hero among women. Impressive. The next round is on me." He poured another bourbon for Vivian Carter, and they clinked glasses. Just as Vivian Carter brought the glass to her lips, she suddenly noticed the liquid color in Michael Thompson's glass was off. She asked in surprise, "Isn't that iced tea?" "Bourbon. I can't handle beer," Michael Thompson lied without changing expression. But to everyone's surprise, Vivian Carter leaned over and boldly took a sip of the drink in Michael Thompson's glass, both amused and annoyed. "Who are you trying to fool? Change it now." The people around them immediately started to whoop and holler. Jason Miller's face turned extremely ugly, and he downed a glass of beer in silence. Michael Thompson was also taken aback for a moment, gave Vivian Carter a strange look, and slightly furrowed his brow. But the displeasure was fleeting, and his brow quickly relaxed. As if nothing had happened, he put down the glass that Vivian Carter had drunk from, smiled helplessly, and went to get a new glass to pour bourbon. All right. I have to give little Chili some face. But I'll only have one. I break out in rashes if I drink too much, a bit allergic." However, after putting down that iced tea, he never picked it up again. "I'll go ahead then. You do you." Vivian Carter, not noticing Michael Thompson's little gesture, happily held her glass with both hands, clinked it with Michael Thompson's, and then drank. While Michael Thompson and Vivian Carter were chatting and laughing, Jason Miller on the side was practically grinding his teeth. He had been smitten with Vivian Carter, little Chili, since the first day of school. With the idea that college wasn't worth it without a relationship, he plucked up his courage and chatted with Vivian Carter a few times in the class group chat, thinking they were hitting it off. He even proactively added Vivian Carter on Messenger, and she hadn't refused. What did that mean? Didn't it mean he had a chance? During this time, Jason Miller messaged Vivian Carter every day, sometimes, "Good morning, are you up yet?" and sometimes, "Good night, sleep early," forcing conversations even when there was nothing to talk about. Except Vivian Carter always seemed to go take a shower mid-conversation and replied rather slowly, which troubled Jason Miller. But, well, girls are clean, that's normal. Today, Michael Thompson was hosting and treating everyone, and Jason Miller tried inviting Vivian Carter. He hadn't expected his goddess, who he could never get to go out, to actually agree readily. This initially made him ecstatic, but he never imagined that after Vivian Carter arrived, other than a polite greeting at the beginning, she hadn't even looked at him properly. Instead, she was chatting excitedly with Michael Thompson, and their topics were bold. Occasionally, she would be amused by Michael Thompson's jokes and laugh uncontrollably, leaning on his shoulder and patting his arm. "What's the deal? It's just a bit of stinky money, right? Maybe he's just pretending to be generous." Jason Miller was in a foul mood, muttered quietly, picked up a bottle of beer from the table, and started chugging it. Bitter liquor down the throat, heart aching. Glug, glug, glug. Michael Thompson had pretty much figured out what kind of girl Vivian Carter was. Just a low-level gossip queen. He didn't really care. Vivian Carter's tricks might work on naive young boys who hadn't seen the world, but they wouldn't work on him. But after all, they were classmates, and Michael Thompson was smooth. Playing along and chatting about some trivial topics was no big deal for him. "Handsome, come to think of it, I don't even have your contact info yet. Isn't my messenger in the class group chat?" Phone number, messenger is so inconvenient. Vivian Carter held up her phone, urging Michael Thompson to exchange phone numbers with her. Michael Thompson didn't show any sign of taking out his phone and said with a smile, "Nah, it's all right. If you need anything, just find me in the class group chat. Phone number is not really convenient. My girlfriend will be checking up on me." Vivian Carter's hand, holding the phone, froze in midair. Oh, he has a girlfriend. The gathering ended early, as it had started early, and by 8 o'clock, everyone was getting ready to leave. Michael Thompson went to pay the bill. It wasn't expensive. 15 or 16 people eating and drinking their fill, plus several cases of beer, came to just over $1,000. After all, it was a place near the university, so the prices were reasonable. The owner even gave Michael Thompson a VIP card, saying it would get him a 20% discount on drinks in the future. When Michael Thompson came out after paying, the group had already split up. Some were stumbling and mumbling, being helped back to the dormitory by their roommates. Tyler Johnson and his crew were heading to the arcade, while Vivian Carter and her roommate, along with Jason Miller and a few other guys, were planning to keep the party going at a karaoke bar. "Hey, handsome, want to come sing? I'm buying tonight, since you paid for dinner," Vivian Carter invited enthusiastically. Meanwhile, Gregory Wilson shouted, "Michael, let's hit the arcade. My Yasuo is God tier. God tier my ass. I could sprinkle rice on the keyboard, and a chicken could play better than you," Tyler Johnson retorted, then turned to Michael Thompson. "Michael, we need one more. Come on, I'll even buy you an instant ramen tonight with sausage." Michael Thompson declined both offers. "Nah, you guys go ahead. I'm feeling a bit queasy from the beer, gonna head back and sleep." Vivian Carter just politely said, "We'll hang out another time," taking his excuse at face value. Tyler Johnson and his group grumbled as they left. "Pussy barely even finished one beer, just sipped it like a cat, and says he's drunk. What a loser." After everyone had left, Michael Thompson stood in front of the barbecue ribs place and checked the time. It was only a little after 8, perfect for finding Olivia Sullivan. Playing games with a bunch of smelly dudes, or singing with the gossip queen, couldn't compare to hanging out with his cute girlfriend. Michael. At the Ivy League University School Plaza, Michael Thompson was squatting by the entrance, yawning. Hearing the voice behind him, he stood up and turned around. Olivia Sullivan was standing there, looking at him with a delighted expression. She was still wearing her pajamas, having just come from her dorm. It was a cute cat onesie, complete with a hood and little cat ears. With the hood up and her hands in her pockets, she looked more like a middle schooler than a college student. The orientation week had tanned a lot of people, but Olivia Sullivan seemed untouched. Little did he know how much effort Olivia Sullivan had put in to stay her original rosy complexion, ever since hearing Michael Thompson worry that orientation week would turn her into a little darky. She had bought a whole arsenal of skincare products and made sure to put on a face mask every day. Olivia Sullivan always felt incredibly happy when she saw Michael Thompson, smiling with pursed lips like a little cat. As Michael Thompson started to greet her, she suddenly stepped closer, went on her tiptoes, grabbed his collar with both hands, and sniffed his chest. After a moment, Olivia Sullivan looked up at him, a slightly annoyed expression on her face. "You been drinking?" Michael Thompson couldn't help but hug her, protesting, "I just had dinner with some college classmates." "That's no excuse. Have you forgotten what you're like when you're drunk? The plant blood brother ritual." Olivia Sullivan scolded him good-naturedly. "I didn't drink much, honest." "They were drinking. I had iced tea," Michael Thompson said with a grin. "And it wasn't just any plant. That was my sworn brother." That pine tree had even been brought by Michael Thompson to his dorm and put on the windowsill. "Male or female classmates?" Olivia Sullivan sniffed his chest again. "Sniff, sniff, I think I smell perfume." This sense of smell. Is she a police dog? Isn't she dressed as a cat? Michael Thompson couldn't help but think, are women in love all master detectives? Olivia Sullivan gripped his collar tighter, threatening him in a cute, fierce tone. "Tell me, don't change the subject. Give me a kiss, and I'll tell you," Michael Thompson said shamelessly, leaning his face closer. Olivia Sullivan's face immediately turned red. She looked around to make sure no one was nearby, then stood on tiptoes. Before she could kiss Michael Thompson, he suddenly turned his face, his lips landing on her cherry-like mouth. MMPH. Olivia Sullivan's eyes widened. She tapped Michael Thompson a few times, but her movements gradually slowed down, eventually turning into a tight grip on his shirt. Her eyes closed. Perhaps it was too sudden, or perhaps she was too nervous, but Olivia Sullivan hiccuped during the kiss. She immediately opened her eyes, instinctively pushing Michael Thompson away, her face burning red. Hic, hic. The hiccups just kept coming, making cute little squeaking noises. Olivia Sullivan covered her mouth with both hands, feeling embarrassed beyond words. She slowly squatted down, pulling at the edges of her hood, curling into a ball as if to hide from the world. This was terrible. Her first kiss with Michael Thompson was like this. It was nothing like she had imagined. Michael Thompson looked at his girlfriend curled up on the ground, the adorable creature occasionally making cute hic sounds and scratch his face. Honestly, it was pretty awkward. And although it might not be very nice, he really wanted to laugh. But he knew that if he laughed, he might lose his adorable girlfriend. Michael Thompson could only squat down and comfort her. It's okay. It happens the first time. We could try again. Go away. Hick, go away. Olivia Sullivan turned away in embarrassment. He actually wanted to try again. And she could hear that Michael Thompson wanted to laugh. Just as she was getting frustrated with the hiccups, a hand reached out and lifted her chin. She instinctively looked up and suddenly felt a warmth on her lips. When Michael Thompson released her, she was still staring at him in a daze. See, no more hiccups, Michael Thompson said with a smile. I told you trying again would work. He took Olivia Sullivan's hand, helped her stand up, and then looked around as if nothing had happened. Let's go somewhere and hang out. If we don't hurry, your school's curfew is coming up. Olivia Sullivan snapped out of her daze, her face flushed and nodded in a soft, mosquito-like voice. Okay. With the night breeze blowing, Michael Thompson and Olivia Sullivan strolled by Lily Pond at Ivy League universities. It had to be said that Ivy League universities had a much richer, humanistic atmosphere compared to the Rhode Island School of Design. The campus was also filled with classic antique-style buildings, and Lily Pond was one of the scenic spots within Ivy League universities. Many people were out for an evening stroll. Michael, what club are you planning to join in college? Olivia Sullivan asked, with her hands behind her back, turning to look at Michael Thompson. The Go Home Club. Is there such a club? The Go Home Club means not joining any clubs and just going home after school. Olivia Sullivan said with a pout. In high school, teachers wouldn't let us have any extracurricular activities. Now that we're finally in college, we should at least join a club, right? That's just what you freshmen think. Michael Thompson dampened her enthusiasm. Wait a couple of months, and you'll feel it's much more comfortable to just lie in your dorm room, binge watch shows, or play video games. Isn't that way better? What are you talking about? Aren't you a freshman too? Olivia Sullivan was quite annoyed by Michael Thompson's know-it-all tone. Seeing that she looked a little unhappy, Michael Thompson smiled and got serious. Seriously speaking, when I get home, Samuel Shaw still needs to start our master-apprentice relationship, so I don't have time for clubs or anything. What about you? Is there any club you want to join? She looked away shyly. If I tell you, you're not allowed to laugh. I'm professionally trained. I generally don't laugh. Go ahead. Literary club. A literary girl? Sounds pretty good. He hadn't realized that Olivia Sullivan had the heart of a literary girl. Michael Thompson was a bit surprised because Olivia Sullivan had always been good at science subjects in high school, and she studied science. In college, she was majoring in international trade and finance, which was completely unrelated to literature. He didn't know she liked literature before. Michael Thompson joked, actually, don't judge a book by its cover. I also really like literature. Olivia Sullivan. ? He directly recited a poem by Tagore. I've been watching all night, and now my eyelids are heavy with sleep. I fear I might lose you in my dreams. I startle awake, reaching out to touch you, and ask myself, is this a dream? If only I could tie your feet with my heartstrings and hold them close to my chest. Tagore's poem. You can even recite this? Olivia Sullivan was a bit surprised. Now, she was starting to believe that Michael Thompson actually liked literature. She hadn't known this before, and she felt a little happy, thinking they had found a common interest. But in reality, Michael Thompson couldn't really say he truly loved poetry and literature. His research into these poems was mainly for his previous job. The luxury goods he designed always needed to find a concept or a slogan, like the diamond brand, a diamond is forever, and the ring brands, love only one person in your life. Love was always an eternal theme, so Michael Thompson had put a lot of effort into studying these love poems, looking for inspiration from these famous lines. Over time, he had memorized some classics, and it was enough to impress people. Michael Thompson asked, do you know what inspiration I got from this poem? Olivia Sullivan felt a little shy, thinking Michael Thompson was going to say some passionate love words to her. She hesitated for a moment before saying, is it about the nervousness of gain and loss when you meet someone you truly love? Because it's too wonderful, so it feels unreal? No, Michael Thompson said with emotion. I just didn't expect that even a great literary figure had the same hobby as me. What? Liking beautiful eggs. Olivia Sullivan stared blankly at Michael Thompson, who was nodding in deep agreement, his mouth slightly open and unable to close for a long time. After a while, she raised her small fist and punched Michael Thompson, exclaiming angrily, "Michael, don't run. How did I end up with a boyfriend like you? What am I going to do with you?" On the way back to her dorm, Olivia Sullivan was still fuming, muttering resentfully under her breath. Michael Thompson expressed deep remorse, but was unrepentant. Was there anything wrong with liking beautiful legs? It was just an artist's pursuit of beauty. When they reached the dorm building, Olivia Sullivan turned to Michael Thompson with a sulky face and said, "Claire Evans asked us to hang out this weekend. Are you going? A girls' get-together, and you're bringing your boyfriend?" "No, Emily Thompson and Jake Wilson are coming too. It's an alumni get-together for our high school classmates who came to Ivy League universities. It's organized by a senior from the year above us." Michael Thompson nodded. "Okay, it's been a while since we came to Boston and saw Jake Wilson and Claire Evans. Let's catch up. Then I'm going back." When Olivia Sullivan was about to enter the dorm, Michael Thompson stopped her. "Are you going home for Thanksgiving break?" She stopped and hesitated for a moment. "Probably not. It's just a week-long break." Michael Thompson knew why Olivia Sullivan didn't want to go back. Her parents were divorced and still in court fighting over property. Going back would probably be unsettling. But he still advised, "You should still go back. Go back and see Grandpa. He must miss you." Michael Thompson encouraged Olivia Sullivan to go back because he actually planned to take Olivia Sullivan home with him. He had intended to do this before they came to Boston for college, but at that time Olivia Sullivan's family was in chaos, and she wasn't in the mood to go out, so he had to give up. Now, the opportunity was almost right. Thanksgiving break was just 10 days away, so going home would be perfect timing. Michael Thompson played the Arthur Sullivan emotional card, and it worked wonders. Mentioning Arthur Sullivan, a faint smile appeared on Olivia Sullivan's face, with two very cute dimples. She seemed to have made a decision and made a request to Michael Thompson. "Then you come home with me." "As what kind of person?" "My boyfriend," she said, her eyes slightly darting around. Unexpectedly, they were on the same wavelength. Damn it, I almost laughed. Michael Thompson quickly composed himself and gave Olivia an okay sign. Olivia Sullivan also pursed her lips, looked at Michael with a smile, and waved at him. "Then, see you on Saturday?" "Yeah, go in." By Wednesday, Michael Thompson had no classes in the afternoon. University schedules were like this. Unlike high school, where the day was packed with 4 classes in the morning and 4 in the evening, every now and then there'd be a morning or afternoon free. And this was still when freshman year had more classes. At the university he went to in his past life, by junior year, he only had classes only 3 days a week, and 2 of those days were only half-day classes, pretty laid back. Taking advantage of the free afternoon, Michael Thompson rarely took the time to go out. He planned to buy a car. Michael Thompson had been thinking about buying a car for a while. He didn't live on campus, and even though Samuel Shaw's place wasn't too far from school, it was still a tiring walk. He'd been relying on Elizabeth Shaw, his professor's wife, for rides to school every day. But even though Elizabeth Shaw taught at Rhode Island School of Design, she didn't have class every single day. Plus, she usually had to drop off Daisy Shaw at kindergarten first, which meant a bit of a detour before getting Michael to school. It was a bit inconvenient, so Michael figured getting his own wheels would be a good idea. He had a little under $200,000 in his account. Some of it was prize money from competitions, and some came from the Thompson family, but most of it was from selling small stone carvings. If he waited a bit, Michael still had some good raw materials from the Thompson family that he hadn't carved yet. With his master-level carving skills, selling those for a few $100,000 wouldn't be a problem, and he could get himself an even better car. But he wasn't that picky. He just needed something to get around. A car in the $100,000 range would be just fine. After leaving school, Michael wasn't in a rush to hit the dealership. Instead, he first went to Boston Normal University to see his buddy Jake Wilson. Boston Normal University wasn't right next door to Ivy League universities and Rhode Island School of Design like they were to each other. It was in East Boston, practically out in the suburbs beyond the 4th Ring Road. Michael had messaged Jake on Messenger beforehand, so when he got to the school plaza at Boston Normal, he spotted his buddy's hulking figure standing there like a pillar. "Jake!" Michael called out enthusiastically, but the excitement on Jake's face immediately dropped. "Michael, could you please not call me that?" Jake said awkwardly. Jake, I feel like I'm turning into Zhang Fei, especially since second brother Guan Yu is a freaking bonsai." "What are you talking about?" "Zhang Fei," Michael said, slinging an arm around Jake's neck and patting his shoulder. Come on. I'm treating you to a good meal tonight." "Hey, could I invite Claire Evans?" Jake asked, a little sheepish, and then quickly explained, as if afraid Michael would misunderstand. You know, Claire Evans is also from our high school, and she's good friends with both of us, and she's Libby Sullivan's bestie. Since it's a meal anyway, why not eat together? Michael, seeing him go on, cut him off directly, giving him a weird look. I didn't say she couldn't come. She's a high school classmate. You're explaining so much, it's like you're feeling guilty. Am I? Always been a nervous talker since you were a kid, Michael chuckled, hooking his arm around Jake's neck. Seriously, is there something going on between you and Claire Evans at college? No way. I haven't even seen her face a few times, Jake mumbled. I'm studying physics. She's studying Chinese lit. Our classes aren't even in the same building. Michael burst out laughing. What's wrong with you, man? I'm handing you an opportunity, and you're blowing it. Jake Wilson. Michael said, All right, dinner for tonight. We'll ask Claire Evans out tonight. Jake asked curiously. So what are we doing this afternoon? Arcade? There's a new arcade that just opened behind my school. It's pretty good. Michael, my treat. Arcade centers were just becoming trendy then. For most people, they were basically just internet cafes with a nicer atmosphere. Not much different. But all arcade centers were eager to call themselves internet cafes, as if that sounded more upscale. Jake usually couldn't bring himself to spend 8 yuan an hour at an arcade, but since Michael rarely came, he was being generous for once. You're hopeless, Michael said, sounding like he was giving up on a lost cause. Come on, this afternoon, Big Brother is taking you to a place where real men go to broaden your horizons. A place where real men go. Jake's expression froze, horrified. Michael, is that appropriate? Are you coming or not? Coming. He patted his chest, took a deep breath, and said awkwardly, It's my first time going to a place like that. Michael, I'm a little nervous. Don't be nervous. First time's always awkward. Second time's a breeze. Michael reassured him with a grin, then waved his hand. Let's go. Jake couldn't help but admire Michael. No kidding, Michael was a total newbie before college, and now he'd become a seasoned pro after starting college. Look at his college life, and then look at his own. Jake felt a little ashamed. Besides studying in college, he spent the rest of his time playing games at arcade centers with his roommates. But Michael was still a good guy, willing to show his brother the world. Jake, filled with trepidation, nervousness, unease, and anticipation, followed Michael Thompson. Half an hour later, in front of a 4S dealership, Jake looked up at the dealership sign, then at Michael Thompson beside him. Michael, is this the place for real men you were talking about? Michael said matter-of-factly. Yeah, what else would it be? He suddenly laughed. You didn't think I was taking you to some shady place, did you? What are you thinking? I'm a serious guy with a girlfriend. Jake covered his face and crouched down, feeling utterly embarrassed. Damn it, I knew it. He said resentfully, You're going to lose me as a brother if you keep this up. All right, let's not stand in front of their store. Let's go inside first, Michael said, too lazy to argue, and walked into the dealership. Jake sighed helplessly, got up, and followed Michael inside. Once inside, he asked curiously, Michael, isn't this a car dealership? What are we doing here? Michael said matter-of-factly, You just said it's a car dealership. Of course we're here to buy a car. Buy a car? It was only the beginning of freshman year, and Michael was already planning to buy a car? Jake was stunned and quickly asked, Where did you get the money? He and Michael were childhood friends, practically inseparable, and the Wilson and Thompson families were also very close. He knew the Thompson family had recently gotten rich from a quartz mine, but Jake also knew Michael's mom, Margaret Thompson, very well. Someone like Aunt Maggie, while she doted on her son, was really tight with money. She wouldn't be stingy with what needed to be spent, but don't even think about getting a penny out of her for things that weren't necessary. She definitely wouldn't give Michael a huge sum of money to blow. Michael casually explained, made some pocket money tailoring clothes for people. I'll tell you about it later. Help me check out some cars first. As they were talking, a saleswoman from the dealership greeted them with a smile. Hello, gentlemen. Can I help you with anything? The cliché of being looked down upon for being young, and then some face-slapping scene, obviously didn't happen in reality. The pretty sales lady at the dealership was very enthusiastic, and Michael Thompson and Jake Wilson spent the whole afternoon at the dealership picking out cars they liked. Finally, after the salesperson's recommendation, Michael Thompson bought a domestic car that cost over $10,000. He completed the paperwork that afternoon, and he and Jake Wilson drove straight out of the dealership. Michael, slow down. This is your first time really driving on the road, Jake Wilson said from the passenger seat, clutching the handle above the window, his round face pale. He and Michael Thompson had gotten their licenses together, but before, an instructor was always in the passenger seat. This was the first time he was on the road without one, especially with Michael Thompson driving so fast. It scared him half to death. Jake Wilson wouldn't dare drive himself, After getting his license, he hadn't touched a car since, and his license was probably lost somewhere at home. But gradually, he noticed that Michael Thompson was driving pretty steadily. He didn't seem like a newbie at all, but more like an experienced driver with over a decade of driving under his belt. Jake Wilson finally relaxed, realizing he was drenched in sweat, and he wiped his forehead. Looking up, he realized Michael Thompson wasn't heading towards Boston Normal University. He asked curiously, "Michael, where are we going? Aren't we going to eat? I'm picking someone up at Harvard University, and I'm bringing Emily Thompson along too. It's been a while since we've all seen each other. Let's all hang out tonight." Michael Thompson hadn't intended to make such a big deal out of it. He just wanted to grab a few drinks and some spicy beef stir-fry with Jake Wilson. But Jake Wilson wanted to bring Claire Evans, and if Claire Evans was coming, there was no reason not to invite Olivia Sullivan. Otherwise, the two best friends would be messaging each other all night. "Olivia Sullivan, Michael Thompson is having dinner with me and Jake tonight. Why aren't you here?" "What? He went to dinner with you guys and didn't invite me?" If that happened, Michael Thompson could forget about holding hands or kissing. He'd probably be ignored for days. Since they were going back toward Harvard University anyway, Michael Thompson decided to swing by Emily Thompson's school to pick her up too. It was just on the way, and it wasn't like she needed a separate invitation for a meal. Emily Thompson's university wasn't far from Jake Wilson's Boston Normal University. Her grades weren't as good as Michael Thompson's or Jake Wilson's. She'd only gotten into a regular second-tier university, majoring in the popular field of finance, probably chosen by her family to prepare her for a civil service career. Michael Thompson parked the car in the school plaza, noticing quite a few vehicles around, including some expensive luxury cars. Jake Wilson also noticed this and asked stupidly, "Michael, do that many parents gonna pick up their kids from college?" As soon as he asked, he saw several flamboyant female students emerge from the school plaza, expertly getting into a car. When they opened the car door, there was often a fat, greasy, middle-aged man in the driver's seat. Michael Thompson laughed. "Yeah, sugar daddies picking up their sugar babies from school." Jake Wilson was shocked. "Michael, you can even tell if they're biologically related? You're such an idiot." Michael Thompson was speechless. Seeing Jake Wilson still wanting to argue, he quickly gestured for him to stop, saying impatiently, "I'm guessing, okay? I'm guessing." "Oh." Jake Wilson nodded and didn't ask any more questions. The two waited in the car for Emily Thompson for quite a while, but she didn't appear. Michael Thompson put his feet on the steering wheel, checked the time on his phone, and muttered, "What's taking her so long?" Just as he was about to call Emily Thompson to hurry her up, he noticed something outside the car. In the school plaza, a pretty girl with a bag was walking out, while a boy of similar age was trying to grab her hand, but she forcefully shook him off. Noticing this, Michael Thompson took his feet off the steering wheel and leaned forward to watch. Suddenly, Jake Wilson unbuckled his seatbelt, about to open the car door in anger. Michael Thompson stopped him. "What are you doing? Someone's bothering Emily Thompson." "Michael, why are you still sitting there? Let's go." Jake Wilson looked indignant, eager to get out of the car. "Hold on, take another look." Michael Thompson pointed outside. Jake Wilson looked in the direction he was pointing and almost dropped his jaw. Outside the car in the school plaza, Emily Thompson was delivering a brutal groin kick to the boy who was harassing her, followed by smashing him on the head twice with her bag. Then, with her bag on her back, she hurried aggressively towards Michael Thompson's car. She opened the car door, got in the back seat, and cursed, "What bad luck. Let's go." Michael Thompson chuckled and started the car. "Yes, ma'am." He stepped on the gas, drove away from the school gate, and onto the road. After driving for quite a while, Jake Wilson kept looking at Emily Thompson in the back seat through the rearview mirror. Seeing that she seemed to be less angry, he cautiously asked, "Emily Thompson, what was that guy about?" Emily Thompson crossed her arms and said angrily, "Ex-boyfriend." Jake Wilson was a little stunned and muttered, "And it's only the beginning of the semester." He hadn't expected that the semester had just started, and while most of the guys in his class didn't even dare to talk to the girls, Emily Thompson already had an ex-boyfriend. Jake Wilson had actually given up on Emily Thompson after Michael Thompson's persuasion. But in this situation, he hesitated for a long time, but couldn't help asking, "Emily Thompson, how long were you together?" "We got together yesterday at noon and broke up last night." Jake Wilson? Question mark. Emily Thompson angrily slapped the car's seat cushion. "What's in you guys' heads? We get together on the same day, and you want to take me to a hotel? What were you thinking? And you have the nerve to come ask me why we broke up. Haha, don't let me in with them, okay? Don't include me in this." Michael Thompson laughed heartlessly. He had expected this all along, so he didn't even ask. Emily Thompson angrily kicked the back of his seat and cursed, You're no good either. You've never been any good since you were a kid. It seemed like she was really angry, and she didn't hold back when scolding her younger brother. Her mouth was dry, and she came to a conclusion. Having a boyfriend is not as good as having a buddy. Jake Wilson didn't know how to comfort Emily Thompson. He felt like talking to her now would only get him scolded, so he looked helplessly at Michael Thompson, hoping he would say something. Seeing that Emily Thompson was about to become an abyss extinction, Michael Thompson thought for a long time before saying, I just bought this car. Are your shoes dirty? You kicked the seat. You'd better wipe the footprint off the back later. Emily Thompson was stunned. This bastard. Shouldn't he be comforting her right now? Why is he worried about the car? Emily Thompson was initially blinded by anger, but it finally dawned on her that Michael Thompson had actually bought this car himself. She'd assumed Michael Thompson had borrowed it from Samuel Shaw's family. Completely forgetting her recent breakup, she blurted out, Where did you get the money to buy a car? Did Aunt Maggie give it to you? Michael Thompson, driving, chuckled, No, I earned it myself. Drawing is that profitable? Emily Thompson muttered in disbelief. If I'd known, I would have learned to draw too. The little money grubber felt like she'd missed out on $1 billion. Michael Thompson teased her. Please don't even think about it. Remember when Uncle taught us to draw? He said your paintings were good for warding off evil spirits. What's that supposed to mean? Those scribbles. TSK, TSK. Even ghosts would be scared. Michael Thompson chuckled. You shouldn't learn to draw. You should learn to draw talismans. You'd be a master at getting rich. You want to die? Emily Thompson, sleeves rolled up, was ready to fight Michael Thompson, trying to reach from the back seat for a chokehold. Cough, cough. Stop it, I'm driving. Michael Thompson deliberately swerved the car, scaring Emily Thompson into retracting her hand and grudgingly giving up. I'll deal with you when we get out of the car. But after Michael Thompson's jokes, Emily Thompson's initial anger had dissipated, and she calmed down a lot, becoming the playful Emily Thompson she usually was. Michael Thompson glanced in the rearview mirror, watching Emily Thompson complaining about university to Jake Wilson, and couldn't help but smile. A girl like Emily Thompson didn't need comforting. She had the Thompson family's inherited big heart, very open-minded. This bird without feet, after going to college, was gradually starting to let herself go. Hey, you two, are you going back to Green Valley for Thanksgiving break? Michael Thompson asked them as he drove towards Harvard University. If you are, I can give you a ride. Emily Thompson frowned. If you're going back, then I definitely have to go back. Otherwise, my mom will nag me to death. That was true. These cousins had been inseparable since childhood. If Aunt Daisy saw her youngest son come back and not her own daughter, she would definitely be unhappy. Jake Wilson shook his head, a little embarrassed, and said, I won't be going back. Thanksgiving break. I have something going on for a Thanksgiving break. Emily Thompson perked up immediately. Got a girlfriend? Going on a date? Jake Wilson blushed and stammered, unable to say anything. Michael Thompson laughed. Yep, confess to a girl on Thanksgiving break, take her to a late-night movie, and break up the next day. Pull over. Let's get out and fight right now. Emily Thompson pounded Michael Thompson's seat back, gritting her teeth. Why don't you just say it's me directly? Wasn't I trying to save you a little face? Oh, I'm so grateful to you and all 8 generations of your ancestors. The cousins started bickering again, and Jake Wilson felt like he was back in her childhood, a wave of nostalgia washing over him. Ever since kindergarten, the 3 of them had been in the same class. Back then, Michael Thompson and Emily Thompson, these siblings, would bicker like this all the time, and he would just follow them around, grinning foolishly. It was a good feeling. After starting university, even though they were in the same city, Boston was so big, and they were all in different universities, striving for their own futures. Unconsciously, the close connection they once had had gradually faded a bit. Jake Wilson had often wondered if one day they would become like elementary and middle school classmates. No matter how good their relationship was back then, it would eventually fade, and when they met again, they wouldn't be able to find their former friendship. But seeing them again today, he didn't think so. He couldn't help but smile and said, I actually made plans with a classmate to do some tutoring over Thanksgiving break. After all, I want to be a teacher in the future, so I'm treating it as an early internship. What? That's so lame. Emily Thompson immediately lost interest, muttering, lame. Michael Thompson chided. Look at Fatty. Even he knows how to plan for the future. What about your plans, Emily Thompson? My plan is for my brother to become rich and support his sister every day. Buy me good food and fun things. All right, I'm going to go learn the pig farming handbook right now. Michael Thompson, you motherf. Inside the car, Emily Thompson's furious voice and Michael Thompson's carefree laughter rang out. Jake Wilson was also laughing a bit foolishly. He suddenly felt that no matter how far apart they were, their relationship wouldn't change. He hoped so, and it had to be so. When Michael Thompson picked up Olivia Sullivan at Harvard University School Plaza, Olivia Sullivan instinctively went to open the front passenger seat door. When she saw Jake Wilson sitting in the passenger seat, she paused, then blushed and quietly moved to the back seat. Come back, where are you going?" Michael Thompson called out to her, then kicked Jake Wilson. "Get out, go sit in the back. You have no sense of propriety." Jake Wilson. He helplessly unbuckled his seatbelt, got out of the car, sighed, and said, "Michael, I just thought our friendship would definitely last a lifetime." "Of course it's a lifetime of good brothers." Michael Thompson affirmed his words very seriously, then said with disdain, "But being good brothers is for a lifetime, and having a girlfriend is also for a lifetime, plus she can have kids for me, so you take a back seat." Jake Wilson's expression froze. Was this friendship even salvageable? It had deteriorated too quickly. After Jake Wilson sat in the back seat, Olivia Sullivan sat in the front passenger seat, her face red enough to bleed, head down, not saying a word, vigorously pinching Michael Thompson's arm. Clearly, she had heard every word of lifetime and have kids, and was mortified. Michael Thompson declared righteously, "From now on, my passenger seat is only for you. Stop talking, Emily and Jake are here." She covered her face with both hands, too shy to look up, her voice so soft it was almost inaudible. In the back seat, Jake Wilson sighed, thinking Michael Thompson really knew how to sweet-talk girls. Emily Thompson watched their little display of intimacy, covering her mouth and smiling like Aunt Maggie. That evening, Michael Thompson booked a table at a well-known barbecue ribs place in Boston. Everyone there that night was truly close, and he didn't pretend to be allergic to alcohol anymore, even having a bit of bourbon, which was rare for him. "Come on, everyone, let's toast to celebrate Emily Thompson getting over her breakup." Michael Thompson raised his glass, signaling everyone to clink glasses and drink. Emily Thompson secretly kicked Michael Thompson under the table, but still smiled and clinked glasses with everyone. Olivia Sullivan and Claire Evans, unaware of the teasing, actually comforted her, which made her smile even more awkward. The three girls huddled together and started chatting, while Michael Thompson and Jake Wilson ate barbecue ribs and bragged to each other. Suddenly, Claire Evans, who was watching videos on her phone, exclaimed, "Olivia Sullivan, Emily Thompson, you guys have to see this news. Vanessa Sullivan's dress at yesterday's film festival is absolutely stunning." Too. Michael Thompson, who had just taken a sip of bourbon, suddenly spat it out in surprise. When the news about Vanessa Sullivan suddenly popped up, Michael Thompson couldn't contain his excitement. Unlucky Jake Wilson, who was sitting right next to him, caught the spray full in the face. "Michael Thompson, that's disgusting. How gross." Claire Evans wrinkled her nose in disgust, exclaiming with distaste, and grabbed some tissues from the table to wipe Jake Wilson's face. Michael Thompson wiped his mouth, then leaned over to the girl's side with a grin. "What news are you watching? Let me see, too." Claire Evans's phone was playing a recording of yesterday's film festival. Yesterday was the Golden Rooster Awards ceremony in China, and Vanessa Sullivan was there. A movie she recently released won her the Best Actress award this year. Of course, all this wasn't really related to Michael Thompson. The real issue was that Vanessa Sullivan was wearing the Starry Night gown that Michael Thompson had personally designed for her when she walked the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Michael Thompson was very confident in his work and believed that Vanessa Sullivan, this little enchantress, was more than capable of stealing the show in this gown. But he seemed to have underestimated the impact of the Starry Night dress when worn by Vanessa Sullivan. When Vanessa Sullivan was sitting in the audience, everyone around her was focused on her, not the stage. Even the photographers couldn't resist constantly turning their cameras to her, even though most of the awards being presented had nothing to do with Vanessa Sullivan. And when Vanessa Sullivan went on stage to accept her award, the whole place erupted. The ever-changing Starry Night added an air of mystery to her on stage. Film festivals are never short of beautiful women, but the moment Vanessa Sullivan walked onto that stage, she became the undisputed center of attention for the night. No one else even came close. Even watching the film festival video on their phones, the three girls couldn't help but feel a little envious. Olivia Sullivan couldn't help but whisper, "That dress is so beautiful." As she said this, she subconsciously glanced at Michael Thompson. But still, it wasn't as beautiful as the Phoenix gold embroidery Michael Thompson had given her. Thinking of this, Olivia Sullivan couldn't help but purse her lips into a slight smile. She never imagined that Michael Thompson would have any connection with a big star on TV, and she certainly never thought that Vanessa Sullivan's dress was made by her own boyfriend. Claire Evans was full of envy. I wish I could wear a dress like that just once in my life, even if it's only for my wedding. Emily Thompson clicked her tongue in amazement. How much does this dress cost? Those sparkly things on it, they can't be real diamonds, right? Michael Thompson, watching Vanessa Sullivan shine in the video, was actually quite happy. For a designer, nothing is more gratifying than having your work recognized. He interjected, "They are real diamonds, and they're incredibly expensive. Just the diamonds alone cost $200,000. He had barely finished speaking when he noticed everyone at the table looking at him in surprise. Claire Evans asked in confusion, "How do you know so much about it?" "I guessed," Michael Thompson stammered, quickly backtracking. "Can I make a guess?" Of course, Michael Thompson wouldn't admit that he made the dress himself, so he just made up an excuse and quickly changed the subject. "By the way, what was the movie Vanessa Sullivan won the award for again?" "Ambition, a workplace drama. She plays a female boss. It's really good," Claire Evans said, being a fan of Vanessa Sullivan and recommending her movie. "I haven't seen any of her movies. When should we go see a movie together? Are you guys busy tonight?" "How about tonight?" The topic was successfully diverted by Michael Thompson, and everyone stopped discussing Vanessa Sullivan's dress and began excitedly discussing going to the movies together that night. However, as luck would have it, the video Claire Evans was playing was an edited version. Right after the clip of Vanessa Sullivan accepting the award ended, the video transitioned to the post-film festival interview segment. "Ms. Fan, you look absolutely stunning tonight." "Thank you. I believe many viewers will share my curiosity. This dress of yours is truly dazzling. Could you tell us where you purchased it?" Take a guess." The reporter speculated. "Is it from a famous French designer?" "Nope, designed by someone from our own country." "Then it must be a very famous master designer, right?" "Not a very famous master designer. I knew him when he was still in high school." Even the highly professional reporter couldn't help but freeze, his facial expression betraying his inner thought. "Are you kidding me? Could Ms. Fan reveal the background of this dress's designer?" The reporter couldn't resist asking. Vanessa Sullivan smiled mischievously at the camera, with a hint of playful mischief. "I can't reveal specific details without the person's consent, but I can tell you that he's a freshman at the Rhode Island School of Design this year." The moment they heard this sentence in the video, everyone at the table simultaneously looked up at Michael Thompson. Michael Thompson looked at the gazes directed at him, his face flushing red. After holding in for a long moment, he finally blurted out a single word, "Shit. You might as well just read out my ID car number." This sentence, to others, might not immediately point to Michael Thompson. After all, there are so many freshmen at the Rhode Island School of Design. But among those present, Jake Wilson and Emily Thompson didn't know that Michael Thompson could design dresses and that he was incredibly talented at it. However, Olivia Sullivan and Claire Evans knew. Back when Olivia Sullivan turned 19, the Phoenix Gold embroidery dress was Michael Thompson's gift to Olivia, delivered by Claire Evans as a birthday present. Originally, neither of them had considered that Vanessa Sullivan's dress was designed by Michael Thompson, because in their minds, Vanessa Sullivan and Michael Thompson were worlds apart and had no connection whatsoever. But Vanessa Sullivan's one sentence directly exposed Michael Thompson. Claire Evans was stunned for a long moment before pointing at Michael Thompson and stammering, you did it." "What? What did Michael Thompson do?" Jake Wilson asked, scratching his head in confusion. "Michael Thompson, does your school have such talented students? Do you know them?" Thump. Just then, Olivia Sullivan suddenly stood up and slammed her hand on the table. Michael Thompson tensed up and looked at her. Olivia Sullivan, with a dark expression on her face, said to the others, "You guys eat first. Michael Thompson and I have something to talk about." "But I'm not full yet." Michael Thompson felt that going out to talk now definitely wouldn't be good, and he didn't want to leave. But Olivia Sullivan grabbed his hand without another word, her cheeks puffed up in anger, determined to drag him out. Once she had dragged Michael Thompson away, Emily Thompson said to Claire Evans with a knowing smile, "These two are really something, showing off their love even in front of everyone." Claire Evans, knowing the truth, gave an awkward smile and pointed her chopsticks at the dishes on the table. Eat, let's eat ours, don't worry about them." Olivia Sullivan clung to Michael Thompson's arm until they were outside the shop, then released him. "Why did you make a dress for Vanessa Sullivan?" she demanded, her voice tight with anger. Michael Thompson chuckled awkwardly. "Hey, a guy's got to make a living." Olivia was momentarily speechless. She was furious. When she'd received the Phoenix Gold embroidery dress, she'd heard Michael's inner voice declare he'd never make another dress for anyone else, basically, ever. So, discovering Vanessa Sullivan's dress was also designed and sewn by Michael had overturned her inner vinegar jar, leaving a bitter taste. but she couldn't voice her real complaint. She couldn't reveal that she could hear his thoughts. Olivia stared at Michael, small fists clenched, silent. He shifted uncomfortably under her gaze, his thoughts racing. What's wrong with Olivia? She's even angrier than I thought. She gets jealous, but she usually doesn't show it. Something's off today. Olivia took several deep breaths to calm herself. She rummaged in her purse, pulled out her wallet, and extracted a card, offering it to Michael. I have money. Huh? Michael Thompson was confused. So, take this. Olivia shoved the card into his hand. The pin is my birthday. If you can't remember my birthday, I will be very angry. So, Olivia's way of showing affection is to give me money? Noted. Michael took the card, turning it over in his hands. While I do appreciate the gesture, can I ask why? I want to take care of you. Michael burst out laughing. I'm serious. Olivia exclaimed, mortified. I know, Michael said, wiping tears from his eyes. I just didn't expect you to say that. You should just do what you love. Olivia knew Michael's goal in this new life was to pursue his passions and be with his family and loved ones. She wanted that for him, too. So, if you need money, just tell me. So, there's no need to make dresses for other people because you need money. Just make them for me. Olivia couldn't bring herself to say the last part aloud, even though that's exactly what she wanted. The thought made her feel a little selfish. But it was true. She wanted Michael completely and utterly to herself. They were meant to be together. As you wish, my lady, Michael teased. From now on, I'll only make clothes for 2 people. Olivia's jaw dropped. 2? Vanessa Sullivan? Do you like her? What does she have to do with anything? Michael asked, bewildered. Of course. I mean you and our future little Olivia. It took Olivia a moment to realize future little Olivia referred to their future daughter. Her emotions, which had been on a roller coaster, finally leveled out. Relieved, she blushed. W, what are you talking about? Even if we have kids, how do you know it'll be a girl? I just know, Michael said, matter-of-factly. He and Olivia had a daughter in their past life, nicknamed Sticky Rice. If they didn't have a girl this time, he'd be worried. Olivia playfully scolded him. You're so unreasonable. That's right, he hummed, taking her hand. So, no more being angry or jealous. Come on, let's go back. Okay, Olivia let Michael lead her. She suddenly realized that a more assertive Michael Thompson wasn't so bad after all. Back in the private room, Claire Evans had expected an argument. Seeing them walk in hand, she nearly popped her eyes out. I don't know what kind of spell Michael Thompson cast on Olivia, but she's completely smitten. Looks like he charmed her again with just a few words. If it's like this now, what's it going to be like in the future? If they get married, Olivia will probably be tricked into having 2 kids a year. Claire suddenly felt worried for her best friend's future. After dinner, they went to the movies. It was late when they finally parted ways, heading back to their respective schools. When Michael got home, Howard Banks and Elizabeth Shaw were watching TV in the living room. Howard, Elizabeth, still up? Michael greeted them. He was surprised. They usually went to bed before 10. Elizabeth complained, don't ask. The principal called and asked us to find out which freshmen can make dresses. I'm baffled. Isn't that something for the fashion design department? What does it have to do with the humanities department? And a freshman? Her phone rang, cutting her off mid-sentence. She excused herself to take the call. Michael guessed it was the school and inwardly winced. Vanessa Sullivan's interview was causing more trouble than he anticipated. Howard, waiting for his wife so they could go to bed, yawned and asked Michael, back already? I saw you park a car outside. Did you borrow it? I bought it, Michael said cheerfully, sitting down next to Howard. Bought it? Howard was surprised, but considering Michael's family's wealth, he didn't dwell on it. Your family is generous, buying you a car as a freshman. He assumed the money came from Michael's parents. It's inconvenient to have Howard drive me everywhere, Michael explained. It's easier to have my own car. Howard chuckled. There are shared bikes just down the street. Those are more convenient for getting to school, and you get some exercise. Young people care about appearances. Howard, why do you have to be so blunt? The two chatted for a while. When Elizabeth finished her call, she and Howard went to bed. Michael said goodnight and went to his room. Michael Thompson was now regretting deleting Vanessa Sullivan's contact information too hastily. If he hadn't, he could at least call her up and give her a piece of his mind. Rhode Island School of Design had clearly seen the film festival interview video of Vanessa Sullivan, and higher-ups had started inquiring among freshmen in all departments to find out who was the mastermind behind such craftsmanship. Word was that the design school was being turned upside down, with counselors from every freshman class questioning students one by one. Michael Thompson's department of traditional Chinese painting was relatively calm. After all, who would expect a traditional Chinese painting student to go and make clothes? Nevertheless, when Michael Thompson went to class today, there was a lot of discussion in his class. Hey, did you guys hear about the Golden Rooster Film Festival the other day? I usually don't pay attention to that stuff, but yesterday our counselor called every dorm RA. How could I not know? Our school is really full of hidden talents. I don't think many design professors can make a dress like that. Who on earth is this amazing person? Listening to the buzz around him, Michael Thompson really wanted to jump up and shout, "Surprise!" It was me, just to see how his classmates would react. But he just thought about it and didn't actually do it. It wasn't that he was low-key. He had never been a low-key person, and he naturally liked things that brought family honor. However, a person's energy is ultimately limited, and Michael Thompson didn't plan to develop in the field of fashion design in his life. So whether he got famous for this or not didn't really matter to him. On the contrary, if this matter were exposed, there would be a lot of trouble. If too many people came to him to make dresses, wouldn't that be a waste of time? And not like he was short of money. Michael Thompson decided to keep a low profile. There would be plenty of opportunities to become famous and bring family honor in the future, and he didn't need this one. The first class in the morning was Chinese calligraphy history, and all 4 classes from the 2 majors in the Department of Traditional Chinese Painting were together in the multimedia classroom for a large lecture. Although they were majoring in traditional Chinese painting, university life wasn't just about painting in the art studio program all day. There were many other classes to take, like political science and physical education, which were common courses that all majors and all universities had to take. Fresh out high school, his classmates still had a high school mindset, listening attentively no matter what class it was, and some were even taking notes. Only Michael Thompson, when it came to these theoretical lecture classes, he would just slump onto the desk and blatantly fall asleep. He was also learning, but he was taking a systematic dream training course. Michael Thompson, wake up. Aren't you afraid of failing? Gregory Wilson, who was sitting next to Michael Thompson, couldn't help but nudge him with his elbow, waking him up. I won't fail. Michael Thompson, being woken up, yawned and said lazily, "You can relax about this kind of class. You'll definitely pass the final exam. It's not a major-related course." Gregory Wilson whispered, "I heard our school is really strict. If you fail too many courses, you won't get your diploma." He was kindly reminding him, but Michael Thompson didn't pay attention. He remembered when he first entered university in his previous life. Michael Thompson was also like Gregory Wilson, afraid that if he didn't listen carefully, he would fail the final exams and not get his degree. But later he realized that some courses were not that important. Basically, cramming for a day before the exam was enough to pass. If you're just a few points short, the teachers would grit their teeth and round you up to a passing grade. Like the Chinese calligraphy history class they were having now, the teacher would give you the question bank before the final exam, and just looking through it once would be enough. Tyler Johnson, who was sitting in the front row, heard them talking and turned around to say, "I also think this class is boring. How about we ditch it later?" "Where to? Let's go to the arcade and play some games." Michael Thompson gave him a disdainful look. "Such a great university life, and you're planning to spend it with video games?" "I'm not going. I'm going to study." He rarely went to arcades, mainly because he didn't know how to play games. Whether it was PC online games or the mobile games that would become popular in the future, he couldn't play any of them. Even if he joined in with classmates for fun for a while, after a short time, others would not want to play with him anymore. He was too noob. Tyler Johnson looked at him even more disdainfully. "Michael Thompson, before you say that, could you wipe your drool? You've been sleeping like that. Aren't you ashamed to say that?" Michael Thompson wiped his mouth without feeling embarrassed at all and said righteously, "Is this drool? This is a thirst for knowledge." Tyler Johnson might have encountered someone talking nonsense so confidently for the first time, and for a moment he didn't know what to say. He could only look at Gregory Wilson and ask, 4 eyes, "Are you going?" "If you go, I'll call Lao Mao, Akai, and the others. We'll have a 5-person team." Gregory Wilson was a bit conflicted because every time they played games, he was the one who shouted the loudest. "Let's team up. I'll play Yasuo. My Yasuo is super awesome." Although he was also the one who got scolded the worst every time. A perfect phrase to describe Gregory Wilson would be noob at the game, but addicted to it. For such a gaming lounge enthusiast, Tyler Johnson's invitation was simply the devil's whisper. He hesitated for a long time before saying, "Well, we're still missing one person. If Michael Thompson goes, I'll go." Tyler Johnson had no choice but to look at Michael Thompson pleadingly. But Michael Thompson remained unmoved, looking at the teacher on the podium who was lecturing with flying spittle. With a serious face, "I love studying. Studying makes me happy." Michael Thompson, the female gaming lounge manager outside our school, is really pretty. TCH, mere feminine charms. And she wears black stockings. Are black stockings important or not? So decadent at such a young age. Michael Thompson packed his things while sternly criticizing, I'm going with you, but it's definitely not for any black stockings. I mainly want to show off some real skill. When the break time came, Tyler Johnson called up 2 other roommates, and the 5 of them sneaked out of class. Michael Thompson was already used to skipping classes in university. In his previous life, when he was in college, because he was already busy with his own business during university, starting from his junior year, it was normal for him to be away from school for a month or 2 at a time. But the reason he graduated smoothly even then was that the school wanted to establish a model of independent entrepreneurship and treated him as an outstanding graduate, so they gave him such preferential treatment. Otherwise, if the attendance rate was too low, he would have failed directly without even taking the final exam. He didn't feel anything about skipping class, but the others were somewhat excited like they were doing something illicit. Except for Tyler Johnson, the other 3 were skipping class for the first time in university. When they left the school gate, Michael Thompson found that they were walking towards the campus wall and said speechlessly, "What are you doing?" "Climbing over the wall." "Climbing over the wall? Why climb over the wall? Just go through the main gate." "Michael Thompson, there's a security guard at the main gate." "Security guards don't care whether you're skipping class or what. Just go through the main gate." Michael Thompson was truly speechless. These guys were in college and still thought about sneaking off campus to go online by climbing over the wall. At first, Gregory Wilson, being the timid one, was hesitant to believe Michael Thompson. But then he watched Michael Thompson stroll right out the main gate, and the 2 security guards in their booth barely glanced at him, continuing their smoke break and chat as if they hadn't even seen Michael Thompson leave. They finally realized the university security really didn't care about this, and excitedly followed Michael Thompson out the front gate. "Michael, you act like this isn't your first time in college," Gregory Wilson remarked as they left campus. And wouldn't you know it, he was actually right. Michael Thompson just chuckled and didn't reply. You can't have a university without an arcade nearby. Rhode Island School of Design was in Boston's University District, surrounded by several colleges, which meant arcade centers were especially plentiful. In a big city like Boston, the arcade center concept was already popular. Places that were XX Internet cafes last year had all changed their signs to XX Arcade Center. But when you went inside, besides a few tables added near the front desk as coffee tables, everything else was the same as before. Tyler Johnson led the group to an arcade center that had just opened recently. The decor was pretty good, with 2 floors and private booths. The machines were all brand new, all-in-one setups. Even the staff had been replaced by pretty young women with sweet voices and trendy outfits. But naturally, this arcade center was expensive. Machines in the main hall downstairs were $5 an hour, while upstairs and in the booths, it was $10. Back home, Michael Thompson knew internet cafes were only $3 an hour, even cheaper with a membership. Even though it was Thursday, this arcade center was quite busy. The main hall was almost full, and you couldn't find 5 machines together. Tyler Johnson decided to splurge and booked a 5-person private booth at $10 per person per hour, so they could all play games together. "Michael, that staff member is cute, right? I asked around, and she doesn't even have a boyfriend yet," Tyler Johnson said with a grin as he sat down and turned on his machine. Michael Thompson glanced at him. If you paid a little more attention, you'd see she's wearing an engagement ring on her right middle finger. "She's just messing with you." Tyler Johnson's smile froze. Michael Thompson patted him on the shoulder sympathetically. "Young man, focus on the game. Don't get distracted by other stuff." Tyler Johnson, "I'm definitely getting a hot girlfriend in college," he said indignantly, banging on the keyboard a few times before urging, log in. I'm in a bad mood. Time to kill." The group started playing together, diving into the popular game League of Legends. Michael Thompson didn't play games much, but back in his previous life when he was in college, his roommates had definitely dragged him into it for a while. He was still somewhat familiar with it. At least he knew Hasaki and Iku, and that there was a powerful hero named Arthur. The current League of Legends was still the old interface. The later Raptors camp was still F4, which was jarring for people used to the new interface. Michael Thompson wasn't very skilled, so he just picked a healing support character and stuck with Tyler Johnson, who was playing Caitlyn in the bottom lane. At the start of the game, Tyler Johnson said confidently, "Michael, I'll handle 2 enemies. You just cheer me on. Piece of cake. Oj BK." Michael Thompson gave an OK sign to acknowledge. But moments after the game started, Tyler Johnson's desperate cries echoed throughout the booth. "Medic! Medic! Heal me quick! Dude, why are you running straight at them? Michael, use your skills. Stop auto-attacking." When the game ended, Tyler Johnson stared at the defeat screen, sinking into despair. This game was inhuman. A healer who charged at enemy turrets ended up with a score of 0-13. Even worse, Michael Thompson wasn't even the worst player. The happy win man in mid lane had a 0-16. How can anyone play this game? Even Fucker couldn't save them. Michael Thompson coughed awkwardly. First time playing, not really familiar. I kept losing track of myself. But I get it now, no problem. Tyler Johnson looked at him suspiciously. Really no problem? Don't you trust me? I never brag. All right, one more round. Tyler Johnson quickly rallied, urging everyone for another game. 3 hours later, the group in the booth stared at a page of red defeat screens, falling into silence. Michael Thompson cautiously raised his hand. Maybe. You guys play? I'll watch some videos. Oh, come on, that's no fun. It's rare you join us to play. Michael, Tyler Johnson said, while swiftly kicking Michael Thompson out of the game lobby with lightning speed. The four of them immediately started another game. So heartless. Michael Thompson shook his head and opened a web browser to do something else. When he logged into Messenger, he saw a friend request. Michael Thompson clicked on it and saw it was for Vanessa Sullivan. He had been friends with Vanessa Sullivan before, but deleted her after their last meeting, thinking they wouldn't have any further contact. But this time, after thinking about it, he re-added Vanessa Sullivan. The moment she accepted his request, Vanessa Sullivan immediately messaged him. You blacklisted my number? And deleted me as a friend? Come on, I know you're online. If you've got the guts to delete someone, have the guts to admit it. Michael Thompson looked at the message and slowly typed a reply. Big Star, aren't you busy today? I'm off today. Tell me why you deleted me. Our deal is over. No need to stay in touch, right? Vanessa Sullivan sent, and then asked, then why did you add me back? Michael Thompson replied, I saw your film festival interview. There's something I need to say. No need to thank me. Just consider it a good deed on my part. No, there's something I have to say. All right, say it. Reluctantly, Vanessa Sullivan decided to hear him out. Then Michael Thompson sent 3 words. Go F yourself. After sending it, he immediately deleted Vanessa Sullivan from Messenger again, without hesitation. Phew. He leaned back in the sofa chair, letting out a long sigh of relief, and smiled. That's better. In a luxurious villa in Boston, Vanessa Sullivan, dressed in a somewhat unfashionable tracksuit and wearing black-rimmed glasses, was lying on her stomach in bed, looking at her phone. Just after the film festival 2 days prior, she had really made a splash, completely overshadowing those little bitches who practically wanted to wear necklines down to their navels. It had given her a real sense of vindication. Those young, talentless bitches even dared to call her old Aunt Maggie behind her back. Vanessa Sullivan, riding high on her success, immediately thought of Michael Thompson after the film festival and decided to call him to share her joy. After all, he was the designer of the Starry Night dress, and now that the dress was a sensation, it was the perfect opportunity for Michael Thompson to gain recognition. She felt like she was doing him a favor. After all, who would turn down fame? But when she called, Vanessa Sullivan was immediately stunned because Michael Thompson had blocked her at some point and even deleted her contact information on Messenger. She almost exploded with anger. She was a huge star for crying out loud. People would kill for her contact information, and this guy had rushed to delete it. Vanessa Sullivan couldn't get through by phone and didn't know anyone close to Michael Thompson, so she could only try to re-add him as a friend on Messenger. By today, her friend request had been accepted. And now, Vanessa Sullivan stared at the vulgar curse Michael Thompson had sent her, stunned for a long moment, muttering to herself, this guy. Is he cursing me? At first, she thought she might have misunderstood, but after reading it again and again, she confirmed that Michael Thompson was indeed cursing her. In an instant, the fuse was lit. The sound of rapid tapping filled the room as Vanessa Sullivan's slender fingers flew across her phone keyboard, composing a lengthy essay in the Messenger input field. Unfortunately, when she sent her long tirade, a red exclamation mark appeared. Michael Thompson had deleted her friend again. Michael Thompson, are you some kind of bastard? Vanessa Sullivan's beautiful almond-shaped eyes widened instantly, and she couldn't help but curse aloud. She tried to add him as a friend again, multiple times in a row, but each request vanished without a response. Art, I'm so mad. Vanessa Sullivan threw her phone onto the bed, collapsing onto the covers, a fire of anger burning inside her with nowhere to go, making her feel incredibly frustrated. She swore that the next time she saw that bastard Michael Thompson, she would definitely let him see just how powerful she could be. Achoo. Michael Thompson, who was at the arcade center watching a movie, suddenly sneezed and rubbed his nose with a sheepish look. He had a feeling someone was cursing him behind his back, but he had no proof. Michael Thompson and his 3 roommates, including Taylor Johnson, stayed at the internet cafe until after 12 o'clock. When they got hungry, they went to a diner on the pedestrian street and had spicy beef stir-fry. Today was a full day of classes, and they had watercolor painting in the afternoon. They didn't dare skip this class, since it was a major course, and they had in-class assignments to turn in. After eating, Michael Thompson went back to school first. The others were probably still upset about losing all morning and insisted on playing a few more rounds at the arcade center during their lunch break, since afternoon classes didn't start until 2:30 p.m. However, because Michael Thompson didn't live on campus, he wasn't assigned a dormitory. During lunch breaks, he usually just found an empty classroom to take a nap. But the school was stingy, and the air conditioning in most classrooms was turned off frequently. Since the weather had been hot recently, he would go to Elizabeth Shaw's office to enjoy the AC. If Elizabeth Shaw wasn't at school, he would go to Taylor Johnson's dorm room. Today, Taylor Johnson and his roommates were all at the arcade center, and coincidentally, Professor Shaw was off work, so Michael Thompson had to go to the library study room to take a nap. At least it had air conditioning. There weren't many people in the study room, and most of them were upperclassmen, juniors, and seniors. It was rare to see freshmen there. Michael Thompson casually found an empty seat and sat down. He saw a few books on the desk in the study room, gathered them together, and used them as a pillow under his head to sleep. Just as he was drifting off, half asleep and half awake, someone suddenly tapped him on the shoulder. It was the middle of the day, and he was sleeping lightly, so the slightest movement woke him up instantly. He raised his head and looked around with a dazed expression. Then he saw Jessica Sullivan standing behind him with her hands behind her back and a beaming smile. "Jessica, what a coincidence. Are you here for a nap too?" He yawned, rubbed his eyes, and asked, "Want to join me?" "What do you mean nap? I came to the study room to study." Jessica Sullivan retorted, annoyed. "And would a normal person invite a senior to sleep with them?" Michael Thompson glanced at his phone. It was just past 1 o'clock, still a long time before afternoon classes. He said, "Jessica, a normal person also wouldn't come up and say hello when someone is sound asleep, right? I didn't want to disturb your sleep either, but you're using my books as a pillow." Jessica Sullivan pinched the top book that Michael Thompson was using as a pillow with 2 fingers, looking slightly disgusted. "I just want to grab lunch." "Wow, you even got drool on it." Michael Thompson coughed in embarrassment. "It'll still be usable after it dries." "You buy me a smoothie, and we'll call it even." "Deal." Michael Thompson readily agreed, then stood up, intending to move to another table to sleep. "Then I won't disturb your studying, senior. I'll definitely buy you a smoothie next time." Jessica Sullivan, perhaps wary of Michael Thompson's next time, grabbed his sleeve when she heard him say that, her almond eyes widening. "What do you mean next time? It's this time. You're not getting away with it this time." He had stood her up once before. Seeing that his evasive tactics weren't working, Michael Thompson had no choice but to obediently take Jessica Sullivan to get a smoothie. Fortunately, there was a smoothie shop on campus, and Jessica Sullivan wasn't too picky. The two of them went to the smoothie shop near the cafeteria and bought a smoothie. "Freshman, aren't you going to get one?" Jessica Sullivan asked, contentedly holding the smoothie Michael Thompson had bought her. Seeing that his hands were empty, she suddenly felt a little embarrassed. Michael Thompson waved his hand. "I'm all right. I don't really like this kind of thing." He genuinely didn't like smoothies, but Jessica Sullivan thought he might be short on cash. She thought for a moment and said to Michael Thompson, "Wait here." Jessica Sullivan went back into the smoothie shop. Michael Thompson waited for her at the door for a while. A moment later, when she came out, she had another smoothie in her hand. "Here for you," Jessica Sullivan said, holding her own smoothie in one hand and handing the newly bought smoothie to Michael Thompson with the other, joking, "It's not fair if only I get fat." Michael Thompson chuckled and didn't bother to explain. He took the smoothie, saying, "Then thank you, senior." But he didn't drink it, just carried it in his hand, thinking he'd give it to someone else later when class started. As they left the cafeteria and walked back towards the library, Michael Thompson noticed that many stalls had been set up along the campus road, and many Rhode Island School of Design students were putting up banners and things like that.